This podcast is brought to you in part by P&P Games, your online source for everything video games. Visit their website at pnpgames.com or one of their 3 retail locations in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Let's get started.
All right, everybody, and welcome to the Bonus Stage Podcast. This is episode number 50. As always, I'm your host, Lloyd Hannison, and joining me, Jeff Ward, wearing a full snowsuit and balaclava because he's really cold.
I'm doing this podcast from Antarctica today.
Apparently.
Otherwise known as my basement. It's cold down here. God damn. I wish I could turn on the heat, but you'd hear, because the furnace is literally 2 arms lengths away from me right now, you would hear it on the microphone. Mm-hmm. So I have to keep it off. And it's not like it's super cold here in Winnipeg right now. We've dealt with worse, but because this is the first couple of, fairly cold days in a row, they feel a lot colder because we're not used to it yet.
Right.
Went shopping. And just the walk from the car to the front door of Superstore was God damn it! I'm not ready for this.
It was pretty cold today though. The wind was pretty high. There was a 10-degree wind chill, so it's minus 20 with a minus 10 wind chill. Yeah, that's pretty cold. It's pretty cold. It's not a balmy summer day here in Winnipeg.
Yeah, and apparently it's minus 20 right now. So I mean, we're looking at probably minus 25 or 26 with a wind chill.
Yeah,
cold.
Chilly.
That's where we live, though.
Besides cold, how are things?
Good. Things are really good. I've been playing a lot of games, and I'm excited to talk about them. There's so much stuff to talk about right now, and I have so many stories to share about, hands-on experience with the Xbox One last night, and with the PS4 controller, and I give my first impressions on those, and just so much crazy, awesome stuff going on, and it's a very, we say this a lot. And especially around this time of the year, but now with the new consoles being launched and literally the best games that have ever coming out for the current, I guess previous gen consoles we can say now, being released, it is a fantastic time to be a gamer, and it's a very, very exciting time. And I coming here and talking about it with everybody else who's excited about it is a ton of fun. So. Let's dive right in.
Cool. Well, let's do that. So you said you played an Xbox One, so you bought one?
Yes. No, I did not. No.
I thought I saw that big, huge box on the floor behind you. I thought that has to be an Xbox One.
You know what? That's a Dell computer.
It's probably close to the same size.
It's smaller. It's smaller, yeah, right.
It's ridiculous.
That thing is huge. I'm gonna get into that later because it's a pretty interesting story. But yeah,
So who bought one?
Nobody. Xbox is doing this thing where they're going around to Best Buys and Future Shops, right, pre-launch, and they're still doing it up until the 15th.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I've done that. I played Forza. Yeah. I played a couple races of Forza and said, "Oh, this looks exactly like last gen, except there's more lights." And yay, the triggers are nice.
That's the one I didn't get to play.
Okay. Yeah, it wasn't super exciting.
Anyway, that's what they're doing, and I got a hands on probably about 40 minutes last night. There are some diehards out there. The line was significantly shorter for their midnight launch, right? Mm-hmm. The line was maybe a third as long as it was for the PS4. Maybe something to do with how cold it was. But there were guys out there at 7:30. That's 7:30. It was nuts.
The thing I don't understand that. I really don't. If you pre-ordered it, you're getting one. Don't show up super early, especially when you're in Winnipeg and you're going to die. I understand people getting in line early in New York for the big events that are televised, because then you get your face across all the different gaming websites.
Yeah.
And even that,
This asshole's the first, iPad Air buyer,
well, yeah, like they had the guy that was the first PlayStation 4. It's like, no, you're not the first PlayStation 4 buyer, because someone was shipped one from Amazon 2 weeks ago and it was all over all the blogs. Like, I don't like, in this day and age with the internet and you go to Amazon and you order something, it's not as cool. But I guess I don't mind waiting in line sometimes, but I don't know, at 7:30 before midnight launch, that's ridiculous.
Well, and I understand it a little bit, right? Like, they probably took the Friday off, right? So they want to play it all night. Mm-hmm. That's cool. But it's 25 below outside. Yeah. Just show up 10 minutes to 12, wait in line for half an hour, and then get yours. Like, don't sit there for 5 hours.
Yeah, and I mean, show up 5 minutes before the store opens, because they let you inside so you don't die, because you dying would be a very bad PR thing for their company.
Yeah. But like, these guys were starting a line outside. It was pretty crazy. There was like Best Buy guys going out there and we like, can we get you anything? I think they had like hot chocolate and shit.
Are you near death yet? Can you feel all of your appendages?
I don't know if I can like accurate. You can't, right? But to accurately judge the kind of like Winnipeg, this area, fanaticalness about the launches for PS4 and Xbox One. The PS4 guys were outside of the Best Buy at like 5 p.m. Right? I was driving home and I remember like there was like 3 or 4 people standing there. I'm like, you have it pre-ordered? Like, what the? That's ridiculous, right? Yeah. But it was a much nicer day, right? Mm-hmm. These guys were out there 5 hours early and minus 25. Like sitting in their lawn chairs, like 5 layers deep. It was pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. I mean, go for it, right? Like, you're excited. I get it. We should actually, do you want to talk about that Future Shop fiasco a couple weeks back?
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about that.
Because you won, and I never even went, so it's not like I can be really even mad. I didn't stand in line.
Sure.
But,
okay. Well, since I stood in line, I'll talk about it. So Future Shop and Best Buy here in Canada, same company. We've talked about that before. They had a deal where, if you came to their store with a game, so a Xbox 360 game or a PS3 game or a Wii U game, any of those,
or 3DS or Vita as well too.
Oh, those were part of the.
Those were also honored.
So any of those consoles, you could trade it in 1-for-1 for a game, and they had 3 to choose from. They had Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag on the PlayStation 3 or the Xbox 360. They had Battlefield 4 on the PlayStation 3 or the Xbox 360, or they had Call of Duty Ghosts on the PlayStation 3. Did I say, was I saying 3 before? No, I was saying 3, right? Not 4. So it's on the PS3 or Xbox 360. So PS3 or Xbox 360, any of those 3 games on either system, you could trade in anything and you'd get one of those, like 1-to-1 trade. And everybody blew up about this. But I read it and I was less excited because all of the Winnipeg stores weren't listed, because Winnipeg used to have these really crazy outdated trade laws because of people that were breaking into houses and grabbing games and then basically fencing them at game stores. Our city basically said that for a game store to take trades, they have to set themselves up as a pawn shop. And the limits were you could only trade one game for one game or one system for one system. You couldn't trade multiple games towards the purchase of a game. And that was done about 6 years ago. And they just overturned that like less than a year ago. But I guess the Future Shop main office didn't know about this. So everybody went online and said, hey, the trade stuff is different. It's okay in Canada now. And then finally, like the night before, I got a text message from Kyle, who used to be in the chat room. He just quit, so I guess his browser crashed or whatever. And he's like, "Hey, this is happening. You can come here and you can do it. Future Shop's doing it, man." And I'm like, "What? No way." Went online. Sure enough, everyone's talking about how it's being done in Winnipeg. So I showed up about 15 minutes before Future Shop opened, and my wife worked close to the Future Shop, and her job started about half hour after. So I didn't have anybody to look after the kids. I was looking after the kids, but I thought, this is going to be a quick line. There isn't going to be too many people because it was kind of a secret thing. So I show up 15 minutes before Future Shop opens with my kids and my wife, and sure enough, there's like there's probably 90 people in front of me. It's like, oh crap, this is gonna take a while. So I was like, okay, we're going to we're gonna take a break, kids. We're gonna wait in line. Is that okay? They're like, yeah, we like waiting in lines. I'm like, ah, you fools. If you only knew.
Sucker.
So
You're
we
not
just
even getting anything.
So we decided to wait in line, and I brought in a stack of old games just in case there was a problem with one. I didn't want that to like screw me in the end.
Oh yeah, you'd be like, well, we're not accepting that game out of the plethora of ones.
Yeah, or this isn't in our system, so we can't take it, or something weird. And everybody's like, dude, you can only do one game. I'm like, I know, I'm holding a stack just in case something goes wrong. And like 5 people were like butthurt because I had like 6 games. They're like, you can't get 6 games, bro. I'm like, don't worry, bro. I'm not going to get 6 games.
Did they call you bro?
They call me bro.
Oh,
it's
man.
like, yeah, they're the like stereotypical dude bros that were waiting for their first person shooters. It was ridiculous. But I waited in line, and it turns out that whoever was working this Future Shop, they didn't understand how anything worked, like let alone like the English language, breathing. I think they had problems feeding themselves. The people would have to feed them because they were really, really slow. And it took 2 hours to get through those 90 people that were in front of me, like maybe 70 people in front of me. Maybe it wasn't 90, but it was a lot. It took 2 hours from when I got there to when I left, because the store opened at say 10 o'clock and I left just before noon because I was there 15 minutes early. So 2 hours in line.
I can't believe your kids waited that long.
Oh, my kids are awesome. So I traded in a greatest hits copy of Prince of Persia, like this game that I probably couldn't get 25 cents in trade anywhere. I couldn't sell it to anybody.
You have to pay someone to take it.
Totally. And it was like the old greatest hits package too, the ones that had like bright red plastic. Like this is an old game. It's probably 6 years old. And I traded it in, and I got Assassin's Creed Black Flag for the PlayStation 3. And then as I'm walking out of Future Shop, all happy that I paid my $7 because you had to pay taxes, so I paid $7.80.
Yeah.
I noticed that the line is bigger than when I started. It was crazy. So I basically just kept walking and passed by because the mall that I'm in, or that I went to, there's a Future Shop and a Best Buy, and they're pretty close to each other. So I walked
right by my house, right?
Yeah. So I leave the Polo Park Mall, Future Shop. I'm walking towards like where Canadian Tire is on the other side, because that's where the car was parked. And I walk by Best Buy and I look inside and there's people in line. And I talked to a guy that ran out. I'm like, how's the line in there? He's like, yeah, no problem. You basically go in there, you wait, they give you the game that you want, and you just have to wait in line and they process it. And I'm like, oh, there's still every game? They're like, oh yeah, they pretty much have everything. And I'm like, hey kids, do you want to wait another couple hours to go get another game? They're like, no, we're hungry, we need to go eat. I'm like, oh crap. All right, I'll go feed you kids.
Bastards.
So I was going to wait in line for Battlefield 4, but that didn't happen. But so we went to Perkins, and I texted you on the way there. I'm like, dude, you better get down. The line is huge. If you come now, you might be gone before you have to pick your girlfriend up from work. Yeah. And you said, no, it'll be fine. Essentially, is what you said.
I didn't say that. I said I just didn't care at that time. Like it was still early. I believe it was like early in the afternoon.
It was
right?
noon.
Yeah,
it was right around noon.
Yeah, and I woke up early and I called the store because I was like, you know what, like it just doesn't seem 100%. And I called them like, is this true? Like, and do I just have to pay the tax? Like, yeah, you just pay the tax on this. And I was like, I'm going back to sleep. So I went back to sleep. And my laziness kind of won out. And I was like, well, you know what? I'll just wait for Carly. And if it's still there, it's still there. Great. If it's not, I don't really care. And they were gone roughly an hour after you called me, I think, or 1:30 or so. It was like sold out. I was watching the forum on Future Shop, and it was pretty hardcore. And then just the shit hit the fan. I mean, it was like a tidal wave of hatred towards Future Shop and Best Buy.
It's so funny because they're doing this. They're giving a smoking deal, and people are pissed off that they couldn't take advantage of it.
The deal of the century. I've never seen anything like this ever.
And it's like, well, yeah, you did. If you weren't there early, you're not going to take advantage of it. That's the way things work.
And again, we argued back and forth on text a lot on this, but the big kind of argument wasn't that they missed out. It was the fact that they missed out because of the complete, utter shit show of it being organized poorly. You know,
totally.
From what I understand, Future Shop figured this out on like a Thursday, right? And they were like, okay, we're doing it Saturday. And that's how much time they had to put it together. And a lot of employees walked in on Saturday morning having no idea about it. So they were like, just take whatever you want. Here you go, blah, blah, blah. And, there are reports of, in the chat room, people are talking about right now, like some people got 3 games. Trey Too Fast, he got 2 games.
Well, there was the Best Buy right by that I was going to go to. If you went in there with kids, like even toddlers in like a stroller, as long as you had a person, they would let you trade games.
Well, I don't think they would have given your kid an M-rated game.
They would have at Best Buy. Well, because there's no law against selling M-rated games to kids.
No, but they just don't do it.
Well, if I'm there and my kid's buying a game and I say that's okay for them, we talked about that with Grand Theft Auto.
Okay, well, I guess because they didn't know the rules, right? But it's still kind of like a violate. They're obviously probably for you or something, but it's They did say, I think it said something like 1 game per person per house or something like that. Yep. It's been a while since that happened. So, but anyway.
But basically what I was saying is Best Buy, if you showed up with like 5 kids, you could have got 5 games. And that was how it, even if you're not 18, they were letting these people do it. There was a family in front of me there was like a bunch of 14-year-old kids. There was 8 of them and 1 father. And the father was the guardian for all these kids.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, so you let that guy buy 8 games for these 8 people that aren't their kids. So can I buy 3? I have 2 kids with me. They're like, well, we can't do that. I'm like, well, obviously, but why'd you do it for those people? Make me wait another 20 minutes while you sort all this garbage out. Yeah. But Best Buy was doing it. Like there was a guy that I was talking to. The person in front of him was him, his wife, 2 kids, and a kid in a stroller, and they were getting 5 games. Because there was warm bodies there. There was 1 game per person. It doesn't matter how old it was, which I think is ridiculous, but that's what they were doing.
But even more so, there were actually people walking out with 3 games, 1 person. Yeah. That's what people were really mad about, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously, some people are going to exaggerate because they're pissed off. They were like, oh, I saw a guy walk out with 6. And I'm like, you had time to count. Like, sometimes those green boxes will just morph together and it's really hard to kind of count one.
And sometimes they're just the used games that they brought just in case. Like I had a stack of games.
But, people are like, well, you should give us gift cards and all that stuff. And it was like, the 3-day promotion that lasted like 6 hours, basically. I think there's a lot of legitimate anger there and just how ridiculous the whole thing was handled. But for a lot of the like kind of louder section that was just like, I demand this. It's shut up. You don't demand anything because you just didn't get it. Sorry, It sucks.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like when I go to anything like that, I go expecting to be disappointed because like people that work retail, they don't really care, right? Like no. They're doing a job. They're making minimum wage, maybe a little bit more than minimum wage. They don't care that this guy's coming in and getting a good deal on a TV. They just want to make their commission or they want to make their hourly wage depending on the type of store that they're in. So when I went there, I fully expected to wait and not get what I wanted. But I went there early and I waited and I got what I wanted because I put the effort in to do it. But you get people online that are just bitching because they didn't get it handed to them on a silver platter. And it's like, dude, this company is giving you a $70 game or a $60 game for free. Like what? Why are you complaining about? There's nothing to complain about. If it was screwed up, sure, complain about the process. But they're calling Future Shop out. They're saying Future Shop and Best Buy are terrible. They're calling for boycotts, and it's like, what? Do you even know how the world works, young whippersnapper?
Like that kind of stuff. Like I didn't like, but the stuff where it was like the just how poorly it was handled, like that. I can get on board with that. You get pissed off about that. That's a good, right thing to be angry about because it was shitty and it could have been handled a hell of a lot better.
Wow. And then there's the people that were pissed off that there wasn't games made available for each day. It's like, well, just because it's a 3-day sale doesn't mean it's like first come, first serve. It's like if you're going to a Boxing Day sale or a Black Friday sale, it's always the sale's on for 3 days and you could probably find like the jumbo pack of toilet paper for cheap 3 days later, but all the good stuff is going to go in the first hour. That's the way these things work when a deal's too good to be believed.
Yeah. Jesus, I'm stuttering my words here. I'm freaking shivering. But another part of it was just the kind of misinformation from the stores where you'd call them and if they actually answered, because they were ignoring calls most of Saturday and Sunday. But if they actually answered, they would be like, listen, we could get in some games, but we really don't know. And I remember asking a question a couple times, like, what's the probability of you guys getting a shipment of games on a Saturday or a Sunday or a Monday morning? And they're like, well, sometimes it happens, but it's like, just say yes or no. I know you can't say yes, so just say no. And then they just stopped answering the phone,
Right.
But yeah, it was obviously handled poorly. To the people who got them, good for you. To the people who didn't, pay full price.
Yeah.
What I think the thing that really pissed me off the most was seeing Craigslist and Kijiji flooded with, hey, I bought it as a gift. The guy didn't want it. Now it's 55. Go fuck yourself.
The good part
scalper.
is I think what the reason for this whole thing was to both advertise that Future Shop and Best Buy do game trades in Canada. They do it, but I guess it wasn't used enough. So that was a good thing. But I think the reason why they did this was to basically flood the market of current gen game copies, so that places like GameStop and even like P&P, like mom and pop shops, are going to have this a whole bunch of games on the shelf that they can't move because everybody that wanted a copy got it for nothing. And this is the movement into the new gen. So I think this was just like a really dick move from Future Shop to say, okay, everybody that's not us is going to be stuck with all these full price copies of these games, and they're going to lose their shirts right around the time when they're going to need that money to go buy a bunch of Xbox One and PS4s. So I think it was kind of a Future Shop dick move, right? But the best part about this is everybody that got all their friends together and got like 10 copies of these games that they want to sell in Kijiji for $60, they're probably going to end up getting like $25 for it because everyone knows where they came from.
Exactly, yeah.
So you wasted all your time. Like how valuable is your time? Like
you made, even if you got $55 for it, congratulations, you just made $43. Like, is that $43 so important to you right now that that's what you're willing to do?
Yeah, like
get a fucking job.
Like I value my time when I'm not working really high because I know what I make as a wage, and I know
not enough to walk away after 2 hours in line.
Well, no, because I was already in line and I wanted to get a game to see how the whole process went, right? I mean, if you're in for an hour, you might as well stay until the end if you're halfway up the line. But I wasn't about to spend all day going from shop to shop to shop to get more games. I mean, my time is too valuable for that.
Well, you actually were, because you would have, if your kids hadn't been there, you would have spent another 2 hours in line at Best Buy.
No, I was joking to the kids, saying, would you want to wait in line again? Knowing full well that I already said we're going for lunch.
Gotcha.
But I know people that spent all day doing it, and it's just, I don't know. I don't have enough time to do that. Like my weekends are pretty much the only free time that I have. 2 hours was bad enough, but I was already out and about, so it wasn't a big deal. We went for lunch. It was great. I know what my free time is worth. These people, I guess, don't, because I know some people were talking online that they spent 12 hours going from shop to shop to shop, hitting every shop that had stock, and it's like, wow.
What? But it's such a good deal but wasting half a day to get a game, you feel pretty damn good afterwards. And it makes sense that you'd be pretty pissed off, because then you'd be like, I just wasted half a day. But I understand the disappointment. But from what I understand, like, you think about it, it was Canada-wide, save for like really a handful of stores, maybe 5 or 6 across the country, Best Buy and Future Shop, and they're giving away games that are $60 retail, $67 after tax, right? And they're just giving them away. They liquidated like $19 million worth of stock in 6 hours. Just gave it away. They made a cent. They didn't make a cent. Like, it's baffling to me. Because, after that, like, is anybody really going to go, even the guys who got games, are they going to be like, oh, I'm going to go trade in my game at Best Buy now? No, because you're going to go back to EB because it has, bump up pricing and all that shit. Sure. And promotions.
But now it
was just a bizarre.
But now you have EB with 100,000 copies of these games that are like, crap. We have to take a write down on all of these games if we want to move them.
Yeah. But it was crazy, and I don't think you probably will never see that ever again. It was an insane deal. It blew me away. I thought it was fake. I saw it on Reddit like maybe an hour after we did the show, and I was like, you gotta be shitting me. Like Future Shop forums, and everybody's like, is this real? Is this real? Is this real? And yeah, it was real. And oh boy, it was real. Totally crazy. I mean, I can't ever imagine anything even close to that.
Yeah,
kind of a deal.
It was a kind of a one-time promotion that probably will never be repeated. But
the only thing I remember that even comes close, and it's still far away, is when Batman Arkham Asylum came out, and you could get it in Canada for $29.
Yeah,
brand new in the first week
without anything. It was just come in, buy it from Future Shop for cheap for this price.
Yeah, and that was a crazy deal. That was $30.
There's a lot of games that come out right before the holidays, and they're in Canada we have Black Friday, but we call it Boxing Day, and we do it the day after Christmas. And I remember picking up games for $10 that were $60 the day before.
The US doesn't have Boxing Day?
No, they have Black Friday, which they do next weekend. They don't do Boxing Day in the States. So I mean, I've seen crazy sales like that, but never get a game for nothing, trading in this 5-cent game that's not worth the plastic it's printed on. It was, I don't know, it was pretty crazy. And I think, like I said, it was kind of like a dick move to kind of block the sales for their competitors, to leave them a bunch of stock, maybe not giving them enough liquid cash to buy all of the Xbox One and PS4s they want. Whether that's going to work or not, who knows? But
I wonder how much they actually took away from other. I mean, because it was so poorly marketed, right? I mean, even though they got rid of all their stock, really only a handful of people knew about it, and that's why I figured, you know what. It might be like a kind of a secret event, but and this city's small enough that if 20 people are there, you could still get rid of the stock. How many copies of Call of Duty do they actually have?
Yeah, well, they had the store that I was at. They had 200 of each game, and so I mean that's a lot. They had 200 for Call of Duty Ghosts. They had 200 PlayStation 4 and 200 Xbox 360. For the other ones, they had a combined 200 copies of each. So they had almost 1,000 units.
Totally bonkers.
And that's in Winnipeg, one location in Winnipeg. In places in Toronto, they probably had 3, 4, 5 times that, because they're
so they gave away roughly 4,500. 4,600 copies of games between all the stores here in Winnipeg. Best Buy and Future Shop.
Yeah, probably.
That's ludicrous.
And that's in one city. So, so probably countrywide, maybe, I don't know, maybe 25, maybe 30, maybe 40,000 units. I mean, that's times that by 10, and that's big numbers, because that's you take Canadian sales, you times it by 10, and that's what US sales would be. So that would be like if this was done nationwide in the States and they gave out 450,000 units. I mean, that's a large percentage of what a game would sell. So, I mean, that's a lot up here in Canada. I'm sure you have the people that work the stock for EB Games, and they're like, crap, we're left with 10,000 copies of these games that we are going to be taking a $20 hit on. I mean, not a huge amount of money, but still, it's kind of a slap in the face.
Pretty crazy.
Yep.
Pretty crazy.
So yeah, that was how I got Assassin's Creed 4. And now that I'm playing through Assassin's Creed 4 and loving it, and realizing that I'm probably going to want to play it on my PlayStation 4, and that the save game isn't transferable, it's like, do I want to go any further just to unlock trophies to then play it again on my PS4 to get the same trophies? Sometime in the new year.
Well, that's pretty long.
And? I don't know what your point is.
But why would you stop playing it just to play it again later?
Because I want to play it looking better on better graphics, and it looks unbelievable on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, I'm sure it looks great. But do you care about the graphics that much?
If I'm playing a game anyway, I'd rather play it looking better. Sure.
Yeah.
It's not like the game goes bad. It doesn't have an expiry date like milk. I can wait and play it.
But it's like if it's there, right? Would I?
I have more than enough to play.
GTA or something, would I wait to play it on the? I don't think I would.
You're also young and don't have kids and don't have a wife and don't have a 9 to 5, so you have a little bit more free time to do that type of thing.
I still work 17 hours a day.
Sure.
You don't believe me?
No, it's not that I don't believe you, but your work is sometimes waiting for renders for 10 hours, which is little that you can do.
Yeah, that's true.
It's different than pushing pencils on paper for 8 hours straight.
You chose that life.
I did. I'm not complaining about my life. I'm just saying that is why waiting to play a game for months isn't a big deal, because I got more than enough to play right now to take up my time.
Speaking of which, what have we been playing?
Yes.
Good question, Jeff. I've been playing a ton. GTA Online. Let's talk about that for a bit. What a pile of shit. I can't believe how friggin' screwed up this game is. It's unbelievable how broken it continues to be. And not only like do they try to fix it, and I understand like when Tom and I were playing a couple days ago, he was singing the code. I'm sure you probably know it, right? The coding song, the 99 bugs of code on the wall, 9 bugs of code, right? Take one down, pass it around. There's 127 bugs of code on the wall. You know, like it just, no matter how much you fix it, sometimes things get worse. And that's legitimate, but God, is it broken? I mean, it's so broken. It's unbelievable. And I've nearly totaled 3 days of time into GTA Online, just online.
And you're the person that says he doesn't have time to play games.
Yeah, but I mean, I've got 10 hours of rendering, you know. But I mean, I've really just head first dove into GTA Online. Everybody has gotten their tax rebate thing, basically, your surplus.
I have yet to log in to get that. I got to do that soon.
Oh, you don't have to like log in and like accept it. It's just there in your account.
Right, but I haven't done that yet to look at the fat stacks in my account and then never use them.
So fat. I actually like grinded out $500,000 and got like the biggest apartment or I guess the most expensive apartment in the city, which by the way looks exactly the same as Tom's $200,000 apartment. It just has a better, or arguably a better view. I don't know what the hell that's coming.
So isn't that like buying Avatar clothing? it's kind of like equivalent to buying Avatar clothing.
Absolutely, just being a sucker. But I mean, I don't spend real money to.
No, I'm not saying that.
But so it's a little bit softer than the Avatar clothing, right? So GTA Online, I've spent a ton of time in it, more than it deserves, I feel. But it is still very fun to just kind of like be in the GTA universe with Tom or with somebody else, right? And just causing destruction. That still works really well. Missions are broken as hell. Connecting to missions is still really spotty. Sometimes Tom just won't be able to join, or we will be able to do a mission together. It'll be really, really difficult or really, really easy. They don't seem to have like a sliding scale of like degree of difficulty. Sometimes missions are just extremely frustrating in what they ask you to do based on how many lives you're given. And then if you do finish it, it'll put you back into the game world. But even if Tom and I were in a closed session before, it'll just like kick him out and put him somewhere else. And it's like, well, okay, that's shitty. So I have to like re-invite him. He comes back into my game. We'll play another mission. It kicks him out again. Or it'll kick me out even though I was the one hosting the game. He'll be in my game and I'll be in a public session. So we have to connect again. It's a lot of like needless hassle of going through menus and menus and menus and clicking invite or clicking join game. It just doesn't work properly. And it never has either. I mean, what is it? The 22nd of November, and this game has been online since, mid-October, early October?
Sure, something like that.
2 weeks after launch, for a while, 6 weeks probably. Mm-hmm. And it's just never worked properly. And
and
really
you're still playing it though.
Yeah, because most of it is still really fun. However, as we all know, both Lloyd and I agree that GTA Online, offline, GTA Offline, as we'll call it, its main campaign is really a spectacular game. Really one of the best and most carefully designed experiences I've played in a very long time. You could make a case that the attention to detail and everything is on the same level as The Last of Us, even though they're in totally different classes of what kind of game they are. But people who cared about the game worked on it and made it work, and just kind of, even though it's buggy because it's an open world game, ironed a lot of that shit out, right? But really all they had to do to make online successful was take the campaign and then just make it online. Just do that. But instead what you get is Simeon every time you log in saying, hey, get these cars for me. And then you do a mission for Simeon. It's like, hey, go get this car. Or hey, go blow up this car. And then you do like 50 or 60 of those, and it's the same thing over and over and over again. Or you get a call from Gerald and he's like, hey, I need some drugs. Can you go and get me some drugs from, another drug deal? You go and steal drugs like 60, 70 times in a row. Same mission, just in a different location. And then when your level's high enough, then you get like Lamara's like, hey, I need there's like a shipment coming in. We're going to steal it. And it's just always a semi truck with a trailer. Go steal this truck. Bring it to me, again and again and again. And it's just needless repetition of the same mission over and over again. And those are the best way to accumulate respect points, to boost your level, and money, which you need to buy things to make your character stronger and better and all that kind of shit, right? Unless you want to do race after race after race, which I actually like. The races are pretty fun and good ways to kind of rank up and get money quickly. The other stuff, the stuff that's really fun, like playing golf or doing the parachuting or, doing death matches. Death matches are kind of middle of the road. Or playing darts or, doing that kind of stuff gets you nothing, like just pennies on the dollar and, a couple hundred RP every once in a while. And it's like, you have put such an emphasis on these big missions, but they suck. And the fun shit is worth nothing, so there's this really awkward, just backwards balance to the whole thing.
It's like real life.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like all the stuff you want to do is either just like so unfulfilling in the end result, or it's not worth it at all, right? And all the stuff that you hate to do is worth the most amount of everything. And that's really frustrating because the game is, when you're just kind of screwing around, driving from A to B, it is a ton of fun to just screw around in. Like Tom and I stole a Cargo Bob helicopter the other day, and that's the one with like the hook on the bottom so you can pick shit up. And I sat in my car and he picked me up, took me to the top of the map, and then let me go. And I just spun my car a ton of times, and we would land the car, and sometimes it would still be able to drive away and you wouldn't die. Like, it was the funniest thing in the world. We were just laughing, having a good time. And then we tried a mission and it was like, well, there goes your good time. It's such a nightmare most of the time. There was a free pack of DLC called Beach Bum Pack.
Yeah.
Yep. And oddly enough, everything that it unlocked, new vehicles, new weapons, new clothing, all of it's free in-game. So you don't have to spend any in-game money on it. So that was kind of strange. I didn't expect that, but okay. Thanks, I guess. I mean, like, that's nice. But it was a little strange, right? That you didn't have to spend any money on it. So you see everybody driving around on all the new shit. It's just not a very well-crafted experience, and they're constantly breaking it. I mean, I'm reading now in the chat room that Max, we tried to play with a couple days ago. He was level 4 or 5 or something. And then was like, well, you have to do the tutorial mission before you can play with us. He's like, well, I've already done it, but the game's buggy as hell, so we'll do it again. Does it again, doesn't work. He's constantly getting kicked out of our Xbox Live party chat for some reason. Just a bizarre, like, development,
Awesome.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's just brutal. And they need to fix it. They need to fix it because it's ridiculous. There are a lot of people who bought GTA for the online, and they're absolutely getting ripped off because they don't care about the offline. Moving on, chess. I've been playing a ton of chess. If anyone is aware, they just ended today, but the FIDE World Chess Championship was this week between the 22-year-old Magnus Carlsen and Vishwanathan Anand. So I've been playing a ton of chess. Love chess at an extremely high level. Carlsen won today. Pretty insane. And I've been playing a lot of that on chess.com. If you guys want to play with me, Jeff A. Ward, you can find me there. Playing a lot of Forza 4, just because I want to play Forza 5 so bad, so I have to race something. So I just, dive into Forza 4 and just do a ton of races and a Ferrari 458. And I think it was last week or the week before, on PSN, if you're a PS Plus member, Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen came out for free. And I didn't really know anything about it. I downloaded it, and it's actually pretty awesome. I'm very impressed. It is not a game for me at all, but
it's really like Monster Hunter.
Yeah. It looks good. It's got a dumb story, but it's like very punishingly hard, but not too hard that you can't beat it. Like, it's just your own stupid fault that you died. Figure out why you died, come back and readjust. But for free, super awesome game. And this game, in comparison, came out in April of 2013. So it's, 8 months old. The newest game for free, if you're a Games for Gold member, was Kingdom of Keflings, and that came out 4 years ago.
It came out for launch.
Yeah, like
not quite.
It's a little ridiculous.
Ancient. Yeah.
And the one before that was like Rainbow Six Vegas. Like,
yeah. Well, the good thing is Microsoft announced that they're going to keep on with this gold or games for gold program, so you can look forward to more really ancient games coming out. So what are they going to be giving it on Xbox One? Are they going to be waiting 4 years before they start giving you games, or how's that going to work?
They probably give you Killer Instinct.
Yeah. That's free for everybody.
Yeah, it's free for everybody, right? It's strange. How many of these digital downloads can you play on the Xbox One for 360 games?
Yep. Yeah, I don't know.
It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing, but I mean, I'm happy they're doing it. I still have a year of Xbox Live Gold left, and then after that, I'm going to see if I probably will have one or two, or maybe both of the new consoles by then.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as like a added benefit, I suppose it's nice that it's there, but it really doesn't matter in the long run when they're giving away games that are just so old nobody remembers them.
Well, this week they gave out Binary Domain from Sega, which is a game that's about a year old, and Oddworld Stranger's Wrath HD for the Vita, which is a game that came out maybe 9 months ago. Like, it didn't come out that long ago. It's a remake of Oddworld Stranger's Wrath, but it's a game that I wanted to buy for $20 for the longest time, and I just never found time to buy it, and now it's free. It's pretty damn amazing on PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 3, Vita, and PlayStation 4 now. I don't know. Microsoft, it's their old like one step forward, two steps back kind of thing that they're doing with that. So yeah, kind of bizarre.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Cool. PSN is just like, there's really no way that you can say no to it.
It's crazy.
And especially if you have a PS4, and you want to play online, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yep. And the bonus is all these like 10 games free a month, which is ridiculous.
It's crazy the amount they're giving away.
Yep.
But I mean, they have such a big back catalog. So does Xbox. They just don't want to give it away.
Yeah, exactly.
Either that or they're just like not interested in talking to other companies. Hey, you want to give away a game for free?
Well, totally. Yeah. And the difference is Sony has a huge first party library that they can give away without having to ask permission.
And they've done a bunch of that stuff.
Yep.
Like they gave away Uncharted 3 for Christ's sake.
Totally.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. And Wipeout, like it was a second party game, but like it's owned pretty much by PlayStation, all the publishing rights, so they could do that pretty easily. It's like, here, we'll give you this X number of dollars per download or cents per download. And
was there God of War on there too? Like,
I don't think
was God of War 3? Maybe it was a Vita God of War or something.
I'm trying to think. I don't think God of War was ever on there, but I could be wrong. But I mean, Shadow of the Colossus, Ico. Were
is it
ones.
Ico or Eco?
I don't know. It's a dude carrying around a woman by the hand, whatever the pronunciation of that is.
Ico subtitle: a dude carrying a woman around by her hand,
leading a helpless person by the hand.
That's great.
Yeah. But yeah, it's really ridiculous right now.
Yeah. What have you been playing these last few weeks?
Been playing a lot. I've been playing, of course, Assassin's Creed 4. Still trying to make the decision whether I'm going to go full on with it now and then replay it, or if I'm going to wait, because I don't really want to play a 25-hour game over again just to get the better graphics. So it's out of my PlayStation 3 right now because I'm doing some other things, so I can make that decision.
How deep are you in right now?
I'm in sequence 3 or sequence 4, so maybe a third of the way through the game. But I've done a lot of the exploration. Since the game was free for me, I bought the map packs, so it tells me where all the stuff is, so I don't have to unlock all of the viewpoints to get pointers to where all that stuff is. So that was like 99 cents to unlock that. So I spent a huge time going over one quadrant of the ocean and just going to every island and doing stuff, and just having fun there and finding hidden treasure and things like that. So I think my save game is about 26 hours. So I don't know if I want to do that over again, but we'll see. Besides that, I've been playing a lot of Skylander Swap Force with the kids. Beat the single player mission. I'm playing through on Nightmare right now just to unlock all the trophies. The kids are playing an ungodly amount of multiplayer battle mode. They just love it. I think they love playing that even more than Disney Infinity, actually, which is surprising. So I've been playing a lot of that with them on the weekends.
Interesting.
I'm going through Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate right now on the Vita. Mostly finished. My first
I've heard
playthrough
good
of that.
things.
You've heard wrong then.
Oh no.
The game, it's a Metroidvania. It happens after the Batman Arkham Origins happens. So Blackgate Prison has something happens, and the three main enemies in the game take over sections of the jail, and it's your job to go in there and take care of them all. And you're partnering with Catwoman, and the weird thing about the game is, since it's a Metroidvania, you have to go to different areas to unlock different powers. So the main powers are the grappling claw, so you can like grapple onto something and pull it out of the wall to make a hole. There's the explosive gel launcher, where you can blow holes in things. There's, of course, the batarang that you get, but then you can unlock the electrical batarang to power different things that need electricity or to electrocute people. And then there's the zip line. So the game is divided into three main sections. There's the industrial area, there's the administration area, then there's one other area that I can't remember what it is. And each of the main, like, there's three main gadgets. They're locked in each of those areas, so you have to kind of go and backtrack if you want to kind of get everything. And at the end of each of those sections, there's the main boss. There's a sub boss and a main boss. And depending on the order that you beat the bosses, the last one that you beat gives you an unlockable. There's different costumes, and you unlock the final piece of a costume. So if you want to get the trophy for finding all the costumes, you have to beat the game 3 times and finish with a different end boss to do that. And then after you do that, you go deep into Blackgate and you fight the true end boss, but you have to do that 3 times, which is really kind of bizarre. I mean, it's fun. It's a Metroidvania, so it's like Castlevania Symphony of the Night or Metroid, where it's kind of a side-scrolling 2D thing, except this game isn't fully 2D, it's 3D, which leads me to the biggest problem is its map. Like, the map doesn't make sense. The map is flat, but when you're playing the game, you go forward and then you turn left and you walk towards the screen. You walk left, you go deep into the screen. You crawl through a hole that takes you like winding through the area. But on the map, it's just like this square area that you're going through. So like the arrow of where you're facing the game means absolutely nothing. Where you're going on the screen mean absolutely nothing, because what you're doing isn't relative to the map at all. So when you're looking for a question mark, it's like, well, where the fuck is it? Like, how do I find this? The map is useless. Like I was saying on Nintendo Pulse, like I played a game called Descent way back in like 94 that had a perfect 3D map. And this game that just came out this year on a super powerful handheld couldn't even have a map that was like somewhat as good as that. Like it's ridiculous. So the map is useless, which means you're basically walking around blind a bunch of times. It kind of gives you hints on where to go, but it doesn't spell it out for you. So there's this one area where it said I had to find the hidden way into the industrial area or the administration building. I had to find the hidden way up. Well, I'm looking around for like an hour almost, like doing things, and it's like, well, what the frick is it? So I go and I do a Google search, and sure enough, it was in a different section of the game. It's like, well, you didn't tell me that. How would I have known that? Like, it's little things like that. It looks good. The fights are okay. They're almost like Batman, the Batman Arkham games. So it's all about attacking and blocking and countering. But it's a little bit janky the way it works. You can go into detective mode by touching the screen, but that doesn't highlight any objects that you haven't already highlighted. So if you want to like find hidden things, you actually have to touch the screen and you're dragging your finger all over it. So it's like a hidden object game on Facebook where you're always like moving a screen and then kind of dragging all over the screen looking for something, and then moving another screen and dragging your finger all over it. I don't know. It's okay. I'm not hating it. Although I right now have Zelda A Link Between Worlds on my 3DS waiting for me. Super Mario 3D World is out today. I'm going to be picking it up tomorrow. So I have all these like sure to be really awesome games that are looking at me, and then I look at this game and it's like, this game is a pain and it hurts me to play it. Do I even want to spend any more time with it? So that's about where I am right now on it. I'm probably I probably have about another 6 to 8 hours to play through to beat the game, and it's like, do I want to pull my hair out for 6 to 8 hours more hours, or do I want to just admit defeat and go on to something else. I don't know.
Especially when that something else is a first-party Nintendo game.
And where it's freaking Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. It's like, that's
like,
filled with joy. Or Mario. Like, Mario right now on Metacritic is at like a 97 or a 94. Like, it's ridiculous.
Nuts.
Everybody is loving it. And it's like, I'd much rather sit here and play that with my kids. Multiplayer. This would be awesome. Or I could play Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate and gnash my teeth and pull out my hair. So anyway, we'll see. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to continue on. I probably am, because I want to beat this game and then return it. And
next week on the bonus stage, you'll see a bald, toothless Lloyd Hannison.
It'll be just horrible. But
gumming his reviews.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was a terrible game. That's my old
man
man
also
voice.
got like
that was
40
terrible.
years older too.
Yeah. I am old, so I mean that happens.
You lose
at
your
some
teeth,
point.
it's just you're just old.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. So I've been playing that, and I played the first hour or so of Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. This game, oh my god, it looks amazing. It sounds amazing. It plays amazing. And I'm not even into the game. I've only done like my first mini dungeon to basically meet the kind of the big bad in this world. I want to play more of this right now. I want to be playing it at all times. So I'm really stoked to get into this one and play it a little bit more. So you'll probably hear more on that for probably next week, because I'll be playing the hell of that game. A hell lot of that game. You can probably listen to the Nintendo Pulse, because both Steven and I are playing it. So I'm sure we'll have some great notes next week on the Nintendo Pulse.
It'll be just a Zelda special.
Yeah, I mean, it probably will be, because it is really good. And I haven't even gotten to any of the cool stuff yet. It's just the normal Zelda-ish kind of thing. But since it's like A Link to the Past, I mean, I know where I'm going. I know where everything is. It feels like home. And it's really bizarre, because it's like an upgraded engine. And yeah, it's really good. I can't wait to get more into that.
I'm excited to hear more about it, because it's probably something I'll get over the holidays or something. I still haven't beaten Ocarina of Time on the 3DS, but
it's an old game.
That's comparable.
That's okay.
It's not like, I'm not saying it's comparable, right? But just to have like a Zelda is something that, like, for whatever reason, you never get rid of it. As many times as you beat it, you're like, well, they'll keep it there, because you never know when you're going to wake up on a Sunday and be like, I want to play Zelda today. You know, like, it's that kind of a game. It's very strange. I can get rid of a lot of other games. Mass Effect's one I'll never get rid of, just because I might. And Zelda's in that same class, where I'm like, I just want to play Zelda today. And now I can.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, the things that this game is going to do that sounds really interesting is, like, you can rent your items, so you don't have to find all the rupees to get your bow and arrow. You can actually go and rent them and use them. But if you die, then you have to rent them again. So you pretty much have access to every single thing right at the start of the game. You don't have to do the trudge to the dungeon to get the bow and arrow. Things like that. I mean, it's kind of like they've taken what is awesome about Zelda and kind of boiled it down to kind of its best parts. So I'm really excited to see where this goes. It looks really good, and it plays really good, and the sound is unbelievable. This is a game that if you get it, play with a really good headset, because the music is just unbelievable.
Do they not sound all that great? Well, because just the I see what you're saying, headset, because the speakers aren't.
Yeah, the speakers are tinny garbage, right? But listen with a good pair of headphones, and it sounds amazing. It sounds really good. Pump it through your home stereo system, and it will sound even better.
yeah. Hook up one of those wireless things, like a Bose Wavebird or something.
Yeah, or
just go.
If you have
crazy.
7.1 stereo, just get an aux audio port and just plug it into that and listen to it in 7.1. Even though it doesn't have 7.1, but you'll listen to the same audio across all 7 speakers. It would be really good.
Interesting.
Really, really good. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing.
Cool, man.
Let's get into new releases.
New releases.
So PS4 and Xbox One.
Yes, PS4 last week came out and sold out.
Yep.
Xbox One, I'm assuming, did the same, but I did not call the store today. I was very busy editing a movie. So
I just saw a buddy of mine. He posted that he was at a store and saw some in the shelf.
Oh no!
So almost, not quite sold out as fast as the PlayStation 4 locally. But I mean, that doesn't say much. I mean, we're Winnipeg, right? No, it's not like we're LA.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have that good of a gauge, right?
Yeah.
I mean. So what we're to infer is to say that at that location, the PS4 is slightly ahead.
Yeah.
On the first day.
They had no stock of the PS4. Everything was pre-orders. And so this one was, I think it was the Target on Firmware. They had some Xbox Ones kicking around apparently earlier this evening. So, but yeah, I mean, we'll talk about the PS4. They announced that they sold over 1 million units in the first 24 hours. And it was, and it was only released in America, North America. So Canada and the US.
Yes.
The Xbox One came out today. So midnight to now, Microsoft already came out with the press release saying, yeah, we too sold 1 million units, which is great. And it makes sense, but they launched in 13 markets. So it seems kind of like a weird thing to trumpet that, hey, we did the same as Sony, but we launched everywhere and Sony hasn't yet.
Is it Microsoft or Sony that always wins in Europe? I can never remember.
Sony.
Sony. Okay. Yeah. So Sony launches in America.
Yep.
Europe is always kind of a lock for them. At least it was for the PS3.
Since PlayStation 1, it's been a lock, like every PlayStation system. So the UK is going to win, and then Japan, obviously, that's going to win there. Yeah,
like if there's an Xbox One in Japan, it's the only Xbox. It's one Xbox One, you know.
And it's actually they had to buy a bigger apartment to fit it in.
Oh yeah, exactly, right. God, that thing is so big.
Yeah. So it's weird. I mean, I'm glad that Xbox sold 1 million, because the worst thing would be if they sold like 250,000 or something terrible, and it's like, oh crap, we have 2 failures in the console market. Now Sony is going to basically take the race and kind of run with it themselves. It's good to have like a 2-horse race with Nintendo kind of being the funny guys sitting on the side, kind of pointing at people as they run by. Yeah, they're kind of laughing at themselves.
I was reading a Packer article the other day, and he was like, I'll be surprised if the Wii U sells 20 million units. I'd be like, holy shit. That's worldwide, by the way. Yeah. That is low.
We'll see. There's a lot of places that right now that are sold out of Wii U's because of Mario. Like Mario can do a lot for Nintendo. So I'm curious to see what the NPDs are for next month. I don't see them moving 1 million this month, but I could see them selling maybe 500,000 like they did last month.
They might move 1 million or close to in December.
Yeah, pretty close. I mean, especially the bundle now that comes with New Super Mario Brothers U and New Super Luigi U, and then you get Mario World, and it's like those are 3 amazing games.
So okay, let me ask you this question. So I didn't mean to cut you off there at the end.
No.
You were finished?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So Tom and I were doing. We were at Best Buy for Xbox One last night, checking it out, and behind us, I mean, there was probably, if I were to take a guess, 150 Wii U's sitting in boxes all over the place, right? And one of the bundles included Animal Crossing.
What?
Is there an Animal Crossing game? It said it on the box.
No, there's no Animal Crossing for Wii U.
That's what I thought.
There's a channel, like a downloadable that basically you can go into it and talk to all of the possible townspeople.
Okay.
And upload your screenshots from your 3DS to Miiverse. That's about it.
Maybe would those be preloaded channels on the Wii U?
It could be. I mean, it's free anyway. It doesn't cost anything, so I don't see why that would be promoted.
But it was a bullet point on the box, and we're like, I don't think there's not that I've been keeping track of the Wii U launches, but I'm like, I would have probably heard from Lloyd about Animal Crossing on the Wii U. Why haven't I? And it's right there. It says Animal Crossing. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
So that was just a weird thing that I saw, and I was like, I gotta get to the bottom of this.
Yeah. No, it doesn't exist. Definitely doesn't. So I don't know. What else was in the box? Because I've never seen that.
So there was New Super Mario Bros. U. It was the premium console, right? So you get it was the black one with the Pro controller, or no, that's not the Pro controller, but like the effectively what the Pro box used to have. And then there was AR card games in there, and the Animal Crossing thing.
AR card games? What?
Yeah, that's what I swear to God, was what's in there. AR card.
Are you sure you weren't looking at a 3DS?
No, because the box was huge, and we picked it up and we're like,
there's no AR cards.
There was no pictures for this thing. All right.
There's no AR cards.
It was actually printed on the box. It was the bullet points, and we were so confused. It was the strangest thing.
I don't know.
I know, right? Like,
because there's no AR cards on the Wii U at all. there's no
Well, yeah, because
air
there's no
card.
camera. There's no back-facing camera on that controller, right?
That's right. It's a front-facing camera.
Yeah. I don't
Are
know.
you sure it wasn't just a big advertising box for the Animal Crossing bundle?
Well, that could have been, but they were stacked on like other, like literally like 20 or 30 other boxes, and they were all very heavy. Like there was a Wii U in there, and it said Wii U on it, obviously.
What? And that was at Best Buy.
That was at Best Buy.
I'm gonna go check it out tomorrow because that is so bizarre.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely no AR cards on the Wii U. There's a 3DS bundle that had Animal Crossing built in that came with Animal Crossing, and it came obviously with the AR cards that come with all 3DSs. So maybe it was just this weird box that was on top of other things.
Yeah, it was strange because I mean, like I would have taken a picture, but I forgot because I was just like, I just want to friggin' play the Xbox One. I don't care about the Wii U, right? But Tom's like, there's an Animal Crossing for this. I'm like, what? Like,
yeah, that doesn't exist. I don't
know.
know.
And he went to the game section and he's looking. He's like, it's not there. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's like a digital only thing or something. Like
no, it must have been some sort of weird advertising box. That's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Flea in the chat room saying it could be a weird misprint that could be worth a lot to collectors.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I got a weird box that says a bunch of shit that doesn't exist is in here. Like,
and you know what? When you look at the consoles that are out right now, like if you're a gamer, the most compelling next gen console right now is the Wii U. When you look at the games that are available on it, there's unbelievable fun to be had, and it's sad to see how many people just kind of say like it's just for kids. But when you look at Mario, you look at like so many of the games that have come out already, the ones that are going to be coming out soon, it's just there's so much fun to be had. But
I think it really does depend on what your gaming styles are.
No, totally.
Right, and unfortunately, graphics mean a lot to people.
Yep.
And that leaves Nintendo behind.
Well, Nintendo's probably the only system right now that is constantly putting out 1080p for everything.
Yeah.
Where nothing else really is. PS4 is almost there. Xbox One, not at all.
Yeah, and it's upscaled. Who gives a shit? I don't like. Really,
you're a video whore, and you're saying who gives a crap about that?
But it's. I mean, from where I sit, I'm always sitting within just a few feet of a television, so I don't need it to be like crazy when I'm sitting back 20 feet.
Right, but it cuts down on all the jaggies. Like when you when you upscale a 720p to 1080, like TVs will do that, and it doesn't look good. I mean, it's 1080s, it has all the P's, but it doesn't look good.
Yeah, upscaling is never great. I mean, it's like just how most monitors work nowadays. If you could go and find a television or a computer monitor that doesn't upscale, I'd be really surprised.
No, totally. But I'm just saying. But
anyway, that's beside the point. You're asking. I do when it comes to like video and stuff. I am a prude about that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got to put a fine point on it. But I guess because I sit so close, I just never care. But that's me.
I don't know.
And,
for me, 1080p is a big thing. Like if I could have a console that would just do 1080p for everything and one that does 720p for everything, you obviously are going to get the 1080p one because it's going to look crisper. But the Xbox One will do 1080. It's not that it's a hardware limitation. It's just the software at launch, not much will actually come out in 1080p. It's 720p or less or a little bit more upscaled to 1080. Where I get kind of worried is the PS4 will do 4K. Xbox says, or Microsoft says, the Xbox One will too, but is it going to be a 720p signal upscaled to 4K, which would just be like, what are you doing? Where the Sony PS4, their frame buffer can actually output like full frame, 30 frame a second at 4K.
Yeah.
That's like when you look at the next like leap in technology, it makes you wonder how prepared Microsoft is compared to Sony.
Yeah, like 4K games are a long way off, but both of these guys are saying like 10 years for this console. So I mean, we're going to be in that year when 4K starts coming out. You know, 4K TVs are probably 4 years away before
I think it'll be 2 years before they're sub $2,000, and that's when 1080p started to hit really big. When there was a $2,000 1080p TV, people started buying those like crazy. You can buy 4K TVs now for about $7,000, so it's going to take a couple years to drop.
You also
into a quarter.
you can't get one smaller than like 51 inches either, right? So
Yeah, they're
just
pretty
the
big.
size of them is going to jack the price up anyway.
Yeah, but in 2 years, you're probably going to see like all the big like Christmas sales. It's going to be 4K televisions for like $9.99 or $14.99 or some stupid price as like as kind of like a door crasher type deal, right? And usually those prices are what the real price is in about a year after that. Like the door crashers are usually about a year early to what the real prices are going to be. Yeah. So it's gonna be a couple years away, but yeah, I mean, Sony is definitely prepared. I wonder what Microsoft is gonna be like in a couple years.
Yeah, it's strange because like you're talking about different, like literally almost nearly competing technologies when it comes to video games handling 4K and a television signal being 4K. Just the way that they're processed and given to the screen is a much different thing, right? Whereas a television is like, I'm just literally projecting an image, but the video game is being manipulated by the user, so it kind of makes it like just it's different, right? So yeah, Microsoft is in a the Xbox One is just weird. I mean, can I just say that the Xbox One is a weird Frankenstein VCR. Like it's just a strange goddamn experiment that could be the smartest thing to come to the video game industry ever. It could be. We don't know that now. Right now, it just looks weird, you know. Whereas the Sony, I went the Sony PS4. In case you're confused and you think it's the Coleco PS4, but the PS4 is just sitting there like, hey, we play games. We're hardcore. It's it's a box and it's awesome. And here's your games, and that's cool. And that's gonna win out in a lot of gamers. Like if I were to choose today, right? If you're like Jeff, I'll buy you whichever one you want. You got to choose one. What one is it? Sony, no question about it. And a lot of my opinion on that was made last night, like just over 24 hours ago when I demoed the Xbox One. It wasn't awful, but it was a odd experience. The whole thing was just, I had so many questions and nobody could answer them, and it was just bizarre. And I was tweeting about it, and oh man.
Do you know what the most confusing thing for me about the Xbox One is they're tying their chain, their rope, their life to the fact that this is an all-in-one living room box that will allow you to watch TV on it.
Yeah.
Are people going to have cable TV? Like the people that are buying this unit, the young crowd, are they going to have cable TV in 5 years? I don't think so.
Carly and I got rid of it.
Every kid that I know, and I say kid, like every just becoming an adult that I know, like from my nephews, their friends, no one has cable. Everybody has Netflix. And the only people that have cable are people that watch a lot of sports. So as soon as you can get ESPN and TSN as just like you pay your $20 a month and get access to them streaming. Sorry, what's that?
Those are coming. Yeah.
Apparently, they can't come fast enough. That's the only reason why I have cables, because I watch sports.
Yeah, exactly.
Like otherwise, it's Netflix for me. Like in 5 years, is cable going to be the norm, or is it going to be kind of like people our age that are 5 years older, that it's still the norm to have cable, but the people growing up that are really into playing the games, like it's weird tying your product to this almost like an outdated technology. It'd be like, this is the new console that I'm making, and it's going to have a VCR in it and a DVD player, and it can play cassette tapes. Like it just, I don't know. It's weird to me.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That was
loud. Sorry about that, guys.
But yeah, it's weird to me. I mean, unless this is a system that they only want to have around for 5 years, and they're going to iterate and take or add stuff in 5 years. Still keep it the Xbox One, but it's going to be Xbox One Plus or something. Maybe they have some ideas for a mid-age refresh of what the actual system is at its core.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, right? I think that I don't know if I think it's Teresa Oswald, some woman here in the government in Manitoba. She was talking about petitioning the CRTC and saying like, listen guys, we're not going to be buying into these ridiculously, you've got to have 40 or 50 channels and then add on what you want after that in packages.
That's apparently going through, so that'll be real reality soon.
Yeah, which means that the television is going to be a little more competitive when I can just go and buy a channel, depending on the price, of course.
It'll be $50 for each channel.
Exactly, right? Like, oh, you want to watch baseball? $70 a month.
Yeah,
like,
no, it'll be one channel is $50 or the basic bundle is $45. So
yeah,
choose what you're going to choose.
So that could make TV more competitive, but I think right now, you have a subsect of people of a certain age, 35 plus, maybe a little bit younger than that, but not by much, that are going to have TV as long as it's available, right? They're going to want to watch whatever is on network television at the time, and they're going to want to watch the news. The news is also something that you can't stream live yet. I think you can in some areas, but even CNN will just give you like, here's our story, kind of thing.
Yeah. But
that kind of stuff.
A lot of that is going to be, sorry to cut you off, a lot of that is going to be solved by apps on your smartphone or your tablet. Like I can watch every network TV show right now for free streaming just from my iPad.
Yeah.
Do I need cable to watch like Marvel, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
No, yeah, and with an Apple TV, right, you just push it up and it's on your TV.
Totally, yeah. Or if you have a Google, you get one of those Google Chromecasts, which I have one of those just to test out. And yeah, with a lot of those apps, not all of them yet, but that will happen. You can just hit one button and it's there. Or you hook up a small computer to your television, which a lot of people do as well. And I'm sure a lot of that stuff there'll be apps inside of your Apple TV, your PlayStation 4s, your Xbox Ones. There'll be an actual channel for ABC or City Television or CTV, and you'll be able to get that stuff as well.
Well, I mean, like Warner Brothers is pulling all of its movies off of Netflix because it's going to make its own streaming service, right? Yep. It's going to be $9 a month just for its movies, right? So everyone wants to do this streaming thing.
Yep.
But when it comes to television, right, like I think television is going to be around long enough to serve the people it's serving now, and we'll never get rid of it. People in my age demographic, I like television, but I think the DVR is going to make that longevity a little bit longer than it should be, because we're like, well, I'll just DVR it, right? Like TiVo is a big thing, and it still is. But I'm not lazy enough to not want to just download it a couple of days later. Like I watched the last half of the final season of Breaking Bad 2 or 3 days late just because I was going to wait to download it, right? And that's okay with me. A lot of people want to watch it right now, right live. But again, Apple TV does that, where you buy the season and it comes out on your Apple TV the same day it comes out on cable.
But where do those people fall? Like you gotta put the Venn diagram together of people that are religious TV watchers and people that are gamers, and see if there's any intersection, because people that are 50 now are probably not that big of a gamer compared to the 18-year-old crowd. So there are 50 and above gamers, there's 40 and above gamers, there's 30 and above gamers. I'm one of them. But as you get further from 18, the percentage of gamers goes down. And the percentage of people that probably religiously watch cable television goes up. So people that are going into university now, like I work at a university, I work with the residences. 5 years ago, residences had cable in each room and phone jacks in each room. Residences now have nothing in each room. They have an internet connection either wirelessly or wired. And kids will either stream their television, watch Netflix, go on their phone.
It's gotta be so slow in those dorms.
No, I mean, we got fast internet in those dorms. Like,
oh, nice.
They get pretty much what a basic Shaw connection is to each of those dorm rooms.
Pretty good.
And so these are 18-year-olds. They're growing up without having cable. So when they get their own apartment after they graduate, are they going to have cable? Probably not, because they're used to streaming. And these are the main people that are going to be buying the games. Like the biggest percentage of game sales moving forward are going to be to this group. And these are people that don't like TV. Like they don't know what cable is because they don't have it. They haven't had it for years and years and years. Streaming services will make sense, but you can do streaming services on the PlayStation 4 right now. Which is, to me, why the Xbox One is so confusing. They're making a big deal about this TV overlay. Well, it's not a cable box. It doesn't even work in Canada because they don't have the guide information. So what does it do for us? Like, it's just this other thing that sits over top of TV where I probably just want to watch Netflix anyway.
Yeah, it's HDMI in, so you can plug an HDMI thing into it. You can plug a PS3 into your Xbox One and mirror that.
Right, but what benefit is that to anybody?
It's not. I mean, consolidating your HDMI ports, like you save one on the TV so you can plug something in.
Yeah, like it almost doesn't make a sense, because if you have more than one HDMI device and you're using it as a pass-through, well, it defeats the purpose, because you can only plug one thing into the Xbox. Otherwise, you're going and you're taking out HDMI and plugging it in. Like if you're not watching cable with an HDMI out cable box, you're not even going to be able to use it for what Microsoft intended it for, as kind of this overlay. I mean, it's this weird thing. Like I don't personally get it, and I'm of the age of the people that probably still subscribe to cable in large numbers, but I don't want cable, because we don't watch live TV. I watch sports, I watch hockey, and I watch football, and that's all I do live TV. Everything else is streaming off my iPad or other ways of like DVDs, buying the DVD box sets and watching them, binge watching, or Netflix. That's how I consume that content.
Yeah. It's a strange thing, right? Like if you have to quantify it, I think one of the big things that gamers are worried about is, okay, so the PS4, as is said from Sony, is built 100% devotion to games, right? We have these online services that are PSN related, not PS4 related. They're just there, that are, you can watch your movies, you can listen to your music, all that kind of stuff. Whereas the Xbox One's like, okay, we are devoted to games, but in this box, there is a like hard wired TV thing in here, and it's going to take up, it might be 10%, it might be 20. I don't really know, but the fact that it's not 0%, I think worries a lot of gamers, and that may or may not be a valid reason to feel about the Xbox One, but it's certainly like where the questions have started. And because the messaging from Microsoft has been so poor, the real answer is somewhere out there, and we don't know what it is. We get pretty close. They're like, yeah, we think that the future of entertainment is here in video games and television, as television is dying, quote unquote, and we want to put them together. Mm-hmm. Okay, they could be right. They honestly could be right, but I don't see it right now. I really don't.
No, I mean, the future is what, like every set-top box you can buy now, like not like a cable box, but like a Roku, an Apple TV, even like Google TV, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360. That is what the future of TV is, which is Netflix, individual apps for different networks as they come available. That is going to be what the future of TV is. I mean, that's where things are going to have to go.
Yeah.
I mean, network, like the more people that unsubscribe from cable, the more expensive it is for everybody else that is still subscribing to cable, because of the way cable works, where they get the number of subscribers to a package, and then they take what it costs for them to get all of the signals in, they average it across, and that's what the monthly rate is for everybody, and then they make a profit on top of that. The more people that go away means the less channels that they can make money on by averaging out the costs of every other channel, and eventually the system is just going to implode, and there isn't going to be like cable as we know it. There's going to be like, you go there and you pay per channel, and it costs you an arm and a leg to get that stuff. It's so weird to put something in the system that really does nothing. It just sits over top of something where you just hit like input on your remote and you're doing the same thing, but you're not gaming on top of watching TV. But if you wanted to do that, then just watch an app on your, or watch a show on an app on your iPad in front of you. Like there's other ways to do it. It seems so bizarre for me to have that as one of the main components, main selling features of this new system.
Yeah, it is weird, man.
And I'm not young. I'm not an 18-year-old that it would be even more confusing for, coming into the world where they don't know what cable is, right?
But you're as tech savvy as one, so
right.
As a younger person, so it makes sense. Like that's just where your headspace is. It's strange. It makes not very much sense at all. I can't, in my brain, I can't justify it. Like honestly, though, I don't think it's a bad decision to buy an Xbox One.
No.
I think it's a very interesting console, and I think it's got a weird thing attached to it, which makes it a huge monstrosity.
Right.
But it still plays games, and that's good enough for me. But it's just kind of weird.
It's bizarre. So anyway, back to the Xbox One. So I played Forza. The rumble in the triggers is amazing.
Pretty cool.
I love that.
I only got it when I was playing NBA 2K14.
Oh, really? Oh, it
Yeah.
was
Well, there was a Forza problem. I'll go into it when you're done. You're kind of
sure.
a little part of the story.
But yeah, like I played Forza, and I purposely was starting to drive on the edges of the track. You know, there's those little rubber things that you run over, and as you're running over it, like your fingers vibrating, like you feel what the suspension is feeling. You feel what your foot would feel if you're driving the car. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So then I go into some dirt and I do spin outs, and you can actually feel your tires giving way by the individual rumble that your fingers are doing. And then I go onto the track and I gun it, and you could feel where your tires lose traction and then where they gain traction just by the way that the fingers are rumbling. And it's like, holy crap, this is an amazing. Like I played Forza with a force feedback steering wheel, and this felt almost as good to me as doing that, as far as getting feedback from something that is basically connected to a television, right? Like you're able to get like that same sort of information transmitted to you without you even realizing what it's doing. You pick up on it just by the little vibrations. I think that's going to be huge. I think the Sony's going to be re-releasing their DualShock like they did when the PS3 came out. It didn't have rumble in it because they're going through a bunch of litigation, and it didn't have it didn't have that good of like motion control. That was what they're trying to replace rumble with, was motion control, but it was crap. And then they came out with a new version that had better motion control and it had rumble in it. I think
still a shit controller though.
It still is. I think what they're going to do is take the PS4 controller now and then add rumble into the triggers, just like Xbox, because it is amazing. It's so different than any other controller that I've ever felt. I like the controller. Forza, it looked like an Xbox 360 title with more specular highlights and lens flare. Like it looked like I was playing the Transformers of driving games. Like it was overdone light bloom and lens flare, but it looked like a game that was current gen, which was weird that was the game that they were showcasing at that time. It was supposed to wow me, but it was just like, whatever. Okay, it looks okay.
Yeah. So I guess I might as well just tell my little story. I went there last night I wanted to play Forza. That's all I wanted to play. I didn't give a shit about any other games. And they had two setups. Same thing. You were there, right? You went to Best Buy, right?
Yeah.
Or Future Shop? Best Buy?
Best
okay.
Buy. Yeah, Best Buy.
Cool. Everything was blue, Best Buy.
Or was it Future Shop? I can't remember because it was like 3 weeks ago. Maybe it was Future Shop. It doesn't matter. One of the two.
It really doesn't. Yeah. So they had two of them set up. No line or anything. Some guys are playing Killer Instinct on one side, and the guys playing NBA 2K14 on the other side. Now, I'd played NBA 2K14 on 360. I'm going to review that later in the show, and wasn't really interested in playing it, although I did notice that the graphics were significantly better. I mean, everybody looked really well defined. The models are great, especially for the key players. Looked really awesome.
Sure.
The floor, it just looked really great. I understand that it's a next-gen console. It's going to look better. Okay, good. Let's move on. What else does it have? In terms of other than that, nothing. Same game. I think some of the modes are a little bit deeper, but standing there, you can't really get a sense of that. I've read some articles kind of just detailing the differences between 2K14 on last gen and current gen now. Every time you dribble the ball, you feel the force feedback. It's very, very subtle, but it's there enough, and it's pretty cool. The controller felt really good. I liked it. I think the sticks are a little bit narrow. They feel, there's certainly a
short throw.
Yeah, exactly, right. But they feel good. The controller is heavy because the lithium-ion battery is built in, and it's not light. It's heavier. It felt heavier. Yeah, it's heavier than this, and I've got the chat pad on my controller,
Wow.
and it was noticeable. Like it was like, man, it's kind of hurting my wrists here a little bit. And then Tom and I played some Killer Instinct. It's next gen about Killer Instinct.
What do you
there
think
really is not.
What do you think of the marketing of Killer Instinct? How they're bundling it up?
So yeah,
it's
you
so
get Jocko
weird.
free. There was the guy was telling me there, right? Like he was like, here's how you do it. So you get the game for free with Jago. If you want to buy everything, it's going to cost you $30. But if you want to just buy the characters and their costumes, it costs you $15, and then you can fight and win points to unlock all the stages for free.
Yeah.
Like that's really just too much information.
It's so convoluted, and they had this set that you basically get pins for each character. So it gives you a list of the characters that are out, and you get the pins for them. And then as the other characters are coming out, you can get other pins for them. And I'm just like, wait a second, what pins? What is this thing? I don't understand it. It's just so weird. I understand freemium fighting. That makes total sense to me. But the way that they're slowly doling it out is just, how is this going to be set up in any tournaments or anything like that? Like, it's weird. And I was a huge Killer Instinct fan. Like, one of the main reasons why I bought the Nintendo 64 was because of Killer Instinct. I wanted the arcade experience at home. Turns out that didn't quite happen because the hardware was so different, but I loved Killer Instinct.
It was okay.
And I'm not really excited about this one as much.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't care less about Killer Instinct. I just don't care.
Were you a kid of the arcades at all? Or arcades had probably already died when you were old enough?
They were pretty much dead when I was a kid.
Yeah, like I grew up going to arcades. I grew up going every Friday with my buddies and spending like piles of quarters playing fighting games was the mainstay, and Killer Instincts was definitely one of them.
I remember playing it on the console and thinking it was okay.
It was a good arcade game.
Yes, and there's nothing next gen about it. I mean, sometimes Jago will hit Jago, and they were like, okay, so they're standing there and they're like, oh yeah, we haven't locked any of the other characters yet. I'm like, this is a demo model. Like, I should have everything. Like, it should whet my appetite to buy it. But anyway, whatever. So they didn't have everything unlocked. They didn't have anything unlocked. And sometimes when you hit a character like a shower of sparks, that's the only thing where I saw, okay, that's next gen, because I can see the difference between tiny particles. Like the particle effects work.
The particles aren't like 2 inches long as they fly out of the character. They're real particles now.
Yeah, it's worth $599. That's how next gen it is. What I wanted to play was Forza, and they're like, okay, we're going to get a copy of Forza. I was like, sweet. Comes back with one. He plugs it in. He's like, we got to install it. And I'm like, oh, that's fine. It's like 6 gigabytes or whatever. Same as it is on the 360, right? It's 2 discs. The other one's a 6.5 gigabyte install disc with the tracks and cars. Takes about 15 minutes to install on the 360.
Wow.
He comes back, he puts it in. That's actually pretty fast for 6.5 gigabytes.
Yep.
Those in the disc. He's like, after a certain percentage, you can actually start to go in and play some of the features like quick race and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, cool, because that's all I really want to do. I just want to pick a car. I want to race. I want to see what it's like. We stand there 15, 20 minutes. 0%. I'm like, okay, well, this is really slow. Like, this is a little ridiculous. And I'm like, it's like not doing anything. And he's like, oh man. And I told him, he's like, well, how big was the game? I'm like, 6.5 gigabytes. He's like, oh, well, it might take a while. And I'm like, yeah, not that long. And he goes, well, our internet connection might be slow. Yeah. And I was like, well, what? And he's like, yeah, our internet connection. I'm like, you need the internet to install a game? He goes, yeah. So I'm like, okay, why? He's like, well, because it simultaneously downloads updates at the same time.
Yep.
This is pre-launch, by the way, only by a few hours. And I'm like, okay, that's really weird. So we go into the settings, right? I navigate through a bunch of shitty menus to try and find the network settings, find them, test the connection. Connection is fine, it's connected, but the upload's like 1.2 and the download's like 0.20. So you're getting nothing, right?
But the power of the cloud.
The power of the cloud that you can't connect to at this point. So I'm like, so we can't play this game if we don't have the internet. And the guy goes, no, you can. It's just going to take longer. And I'm like, well, how long? We've been standing here for a half an hour and it's still at 0%. And he goes, I don't know.
I don't know.
The other guy comes by and he's like, oh, I guess the internet's slow, so you can't install it. And I'm like, yeah, that kind of sucks. And he's like, yeah, it's honestly a really annoying feature. Like, this is the rep.
Oh,
and I'm
my goodness.
Holy shit, that's fantastic.
Wow.
So we're standing there. I think we stood there for 40 minutes and it was 0% when we left. My gripe, I got 2 of them. First of all, why are these games not pre-installed already? They should be, makes no sense.
Well, when I played, it was a demo disc, so you could go between any of the games just by clicking on them.
Nice. And then the other one is, sweet Lord, does that take way too long to install? I mean, first of all, I remember hearing multiple times from Microsoft that, yeah, you don't have to be connected to the internet at all.
After the day one patch.
After the day one patch, right, which hadn't come out yet.
Yep.
it's such horseshit that you have to friggin' connect to the internet to install a game that you legitimately bought. I understand the whole piracy. Everyone's afraid of internet pirate. You're not going to stop them. You will not stop them with no matter how much money you foolishly put into a security system. They'll crack it, and they'll crack it fast, and it'll be broken. Just let me legitimately be a customer and don't treat me like a fucking criminal. And that just bothers me to no end, you know?
Which was my main problem with Xbox when it was first announced. I'm like, what? I buy something from you, I buy a plastic disc, and it has to be locked to my console. Well, you don't want me to trade it? Well, if you trade it, how do we know that there's only one copy being played? Because I'm playing it off the freaking disc. Like I don't care about this digital ecosystem that you want to create. I don't care. That doesn't make my gaming any better. And the pre-day one installs are garbage. Apparently it's better post day one patch, but I haven't personally had any experience with it, so I'm not sure.
It was just bizarre.
It's ridiculous.
That said, it looks great. You know, the actual interface is very nice. I like how quickly you can get to the dashboard, and the dashboard's actually quite elegant. It's certainly simplified, a lot smaller screens. You know, being able to like move around your tiles, I really think is interesting, especially from like a gaming perspective. Like I can get all of that shit that I don't want on another screen and put all the cool stuff right there in front of me. I like that. They had this kind of plastic covering in the front, but they had unscrewed it so they could quickly switch games. And while he was around, I picked the Xbox One up, and the thing is like made of cement and steel. It's so heavy, and I'm like, holy shit, this is heavy. It feels like 2 Xboxes. That's what it feels like. And it's just a monstrosity. Design wise, it's an ugly thing to look at. It's a rectangle, you know, with half of its matte and half of its gloss.
It's and most space inside of it is just air. It's
exactly.
So weird. You could almost fit the PlayStation 3 inside the Xbox One. With the amount of free space.
That's actually
sorry, PS4, not PS3.
PS3 Slim.
PS3 Slim.
PS3 Slim in there. And the other thing I don't like is you might be able to see it on my camera, but capacitive buttons for power. They're not a physical click button. You just like the PS3. I think that's stupid design. I hate that. PS3 is better because it doesn't react right away. You have to hold your finger there for a few seconds just in case you accidentally brush it.
Sure.
Xbox isn't that smart. You know that Kiflaw mission where you have to you got to run around? I went 4.5 miles out of 5, and I accidentally rubbed my shoulder up against the eject button.
Oh no.
All over again.
Oh no.
Because as soon as you touch it at all, it's just bing, and you're like, you gotta be shitting me. Like, no. Yeah, so I
feel bad for you.
Again. I hate capacitive touch buttons if you're going to implement them as in like you need to just you breathe next to it and the stupid thing touches. Like that's stupid. But that said, I think it's a very interesting console. I think it has a better launch lineup, marginally so, than the PS4. Only because of Forza. Drive Club was coming out for the PS3 on launch, or say the PS4 on launch. God, that's going to be annoying because I'm going to say PS3 all the time. I would have
been doing that for months. People make fun of me all the time. It's okay.
I probably would have went with the PS4. But Dead Rising, everybody's like, oh, Dead Rising. And I'm like, yeah, it's a shit game. And all the reviews say that. Like, could you have guessed any? And the other two have been trash. Why was everybody getting so excited about Dead Rising now? Killer Instinct, don't care.
I was going to say, I miss 929 in the chat room said it's so heavy because of the internal power supply. It's not as it's Japanese engineering versus American. If you believe it, the Xbox One is huge and it still has an external power brick, just like the Xbox 360. It's like, what?
It's just crazy.
How does that make sense? It makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense at all. It's totally bizarre. It's a monster. It's like 9.5 feet long, 20 feet deep. There's 3 children in there from Japan who run the internals.
Yeah, they're on little exercise bikes to power it.
It's totally, and I guess they were tired, so that's why my game wasn't installing quickly. Like they were just kind of dogging it. Yeah, so it was just like it was a bizarre experience. But from what I did play, I thought it was pretty cool. I think the controller is really outstanding. I don't know if you can use that controller on a 360. You can use a DualShock 4 on a PS3. Yeah. And I love the DualShock 4. I held one at Best Buy last night as well too, and I was like, this is unbelievable. Like this is what it should have been. I don't give a shit about the touch screen or the the touchpad. I don't care about that. Triggers felt great, and the control sticks were unreal. Nice and resistive. They weren't like just these loose friggin' braids of hair. It was just so I'm probably gonna go and pick up a DualShock 4 to play on my PS3 because then I get into shooters, and then I might even get at an Xbox altogether for the 360. But pretty cool, very interesting stuff. Xbox One is weird. I don't understand it. It's too big. It's ugly. But the controller's nice, and I'm sure really Forza 5 is great.
I can't wait for Sony to steal the vibrating control stick or the triggers. That's going to be so huge.
Yeah.
One thing I really like about the PlayStation 4, I played Knack. I played about half hour of Knack, and it's a game. I was like, what? This is a $60 game? No way is it worth it. And I played it, and it's actually kind of fun. I still don't think it's a $60 game. Yeah. I think it's a game I'm going to pick out of the bargain bucket in like January or February whenever I get a PS4, and it will be $20, and that will be fine. The one thing I like about the PlayStation 4 controller is the little light bar on the back, because there's a lot of games right now that use it to kind of give you subtle feedback. So there was a video of a guy playing sound shapes in the dark, and the controller's flashing to the beat. Similar to like if you saw Rez with that weird puck that they came out with that was like vibrating and pulsing to the beat. It's like, wow, that is a cool thing. I didn't understand why that was there in the first place. Like, I don't care if it's red if I'm player 1 and blue if I'm player 2. That doesn't make any sense. But the fact that developers are using it as kind of as just a bit of feedback, it's like, oh, that is kind of cool. And I can just imagine playing a game and having like a warning system where if I get like too close to being seen, it starts like flashing red or something. And it's like, oh, that's a neat little thing that I never would have thought I would ever want on a controller, but it totally makes sense.
But would it be better just to have it rumble so you don't have to look down at your controller? I hold my controller like basically under my chin. I never look at it when I'm playing, and I don't think a light would like, what?
Don't you play in the dark?
No, I usually play with the light on.
Oh, really? I always play in the dark, so I mean, it would start glowing, and I'd pick up just the ambient glow. It's similar to like that Microsoft that room thing that they did, where you'd have another projector and another Kinect, and it would project stuff outside of your TV. It's kind of like a lesser effect like that, where it would glow enough in my basement where I'd be able to see what it was doing. I kind of like that. The other thing that's really cool about the PlayStation 4 is there's a headphone port on it, so you can plug it in to any old headphones, and you can listen to the audio from your PlayStation 4 on anything. So if you have if you have a good set of headphones, plug it in, boom, you're good to go. If you have a USB headset, you plug it into your PlayStation 4, it's good to go. If you have a surround sound one, you plug it in, you're good to go. On the Xbox One, every old piece of equipment you need to rebuy. It's ridiculous. Like to the fact where for the PlayStation 4, if you have a PS3, you unplug the power, you unplug the HDMI, you unplug the Ethernet if you have. You take your PS4, you put it there, you plug in the same power because the cable hasn't changed. You plug in your HDMI, you plug in your Ethernet, and it like everything from the power cable to all the peripherals work with this device. For once, like this is probably the first generation where that happened, where you can use your old stuff, except for like the Wii to the Wii U, you could use all your old Wiimotes. That is a nice feature.
I mean, I guess eventually Turtle Beach is going to make an adapter that they'll sell for $10 for your headset. But the fact that you can't, and then the Xbox headset they give you is actually a piece of shit.
Well, the Xbox peripherals, they have some sort of digital signature where
I didn't know that,
where they talk. So you can't buy knockoff headsets in the future. You're gonna have to get something
is out of business. No.
Well, yeah. Well, they're gonna have to license Microsoft, and it's gonna have to be a licensed product to get on.
They're making such high quality shit.
So yeah, like the ability to get one of those little adapters, is that going to be possible? Like I have these.
I didn't know that.
I have these AX740s. I think the 5.1 surround sound headphones. It's like, well, I can't use it with my Xbox One, I guess. When I finally get it, it will be my PS4 only headset.
X41 7.1 bass boost. wireless because I'm a sucker and they're always staticky when I wear a sweater.
Yeah, I have wireless ones as well. And
or if somebody's watching
sorry,
YouTube, it like starts buzzing because the stupid modem is too close to it.
That's crazy. I had wireless headphones before. The ones that I got, the AX 740s or whatever, they're huge, huge, like 700-foot cable that came with it. But yeah, like I can hook that right into my PS4 and it works, which is great. Xbox One, not really. I don't know. It's just like everything about Sony is supporting the people, like not trying to screw them. Which
I wouldn't mind as much if Microsoft had come up with like a first party. Here's our big headset, right? Like you want a game in style. You want that as long as I had an option to get better audio, because I'm going to assume a big majority of people are either going to play on a headset or are going to play on their TV speakers, and TV speakers blow. So if you're going to lock out, my old headset, fair enough, right? A new console's got to be new. Everything's new. That's okay. I understand. At least give me the option to buy an upgrade to get, what I would still be used to. So I don't have to listen on my computers or my, monitor speakers because they suck.
Yep. No, I get it. It just, the last company that I would expect to have old stuff work with their new stuff is Sony, because they're the people that have been trying to sell you crazy overpriced memory sticks forever, for multiple generations of their handhelds.
They'll still do that, but they certainly have taken a different kind of road with the PS4.
Oh, it's totally every misstep that they've made in the last generation, they've kind of undone with the PS4, which is interesting. And I'm not totally convinced that it's going to keep up forever. I think this is we got to get ahead, and then we're going to start screwing people. Like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, really, is I guess what I'm saying.
They do have a shit launch lineup. Like Killzone, there's nothing, there's nothing new about that. It's like, okay, so it looks better,
pretty, and that's it. It's like when Perfect Dark Zero came out for the 360.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that kind of game. It's just like, it looks great, but it's not a great game.
Yeah. I was really excited for. I mean, everybody was excited for Watch Dogs. That is a next gen game.
I can't wait.
Although it's going to come out on previous gen hardware, that's a next gen game, no doubt. Delayed. Drive Club, next gen as hell, delayed. Shit. Like all the good Knack, I could give a shit. I'm sure it's fine, but it just doesn't appeal to me in any way, shape, or form. Right.
The launch games I want to play on my PlayStation 4: Resogun, which is a free game if you have PlayStation Plus. And I want to play Flower in 1080p HD, because if you own Flower, if you own Flow, or if you own Sound Shapes, those are free upgrades on the PlayStation 4.
Gotcha.
And I want to play Flower again, because that game was just amazing, and I want to play it on in 1080p, because that's going to be great.
Yeah. Very, very interesting time. It's cool that there are new consoles coming out. But there are very few examples of next-gen stuff, right? I mean, like, at this point, next-gen is we're still shooting guys, we're still playing sports, and we're still racing. So it's the same as now, it just looks better. Yep. And that's not good enough for me. Like, I feel like next-gen has to, like, do something next to gen, Like, you can't call it next-gen just because it looks better. Because there are games that are going to come out in 6 months on Xbox 360 and PS3 that are going to look better than the games that are coming out right now. So are those next-gen? No, but by that definition, they are,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting. Cool.
I won't be buying either until at least March, and by the sounds of it, it'll be impossible to find a PS4 until at least then anyway. Not sure about the Xbox. Mm-hmm. Trevor got his on Wednesday, and he told me in a message, YOLO Pizza Boy, for those of you who are fans of the show, he told me, he's like, I'm going to sell it for $850 on Kijiji. I'm like, yeah, good for you.
Nice.
Good for you.
Yeah, I'm.
He's like, I should have bought two.
one of my listeners on the network listens to all the shows. He said, I got 2 PS4s. Do you want one? I'm like, oh. I said I would wait till January. I told my wife I would wait till January, February, March, somewhere in there. No, go sell it on eBay.
The thing is, you're not missing out, though, right?
No, like, I want to play Flower in 1080p. I want to play a free game in 1080p. It's worth $400 to me. Yeah, it's a little bit crazy. I know.
It's very enticing to get into, like, oh, it's a new piece of tech, but like at the end of the day, what are you gonna? You're gonna do I'm gonna throw robots on the screen with my touch controller, and I'm gonna play Killzone.
The best part. Free Twitch built into it. The Twitch streaming on PS4 is amazing. If you buy the camera, if you buy the $40 or $50 camera or whatever, it has a picture-in-picture. It has your face there. It has the chat room below. It's amazing. And that ships day one on the PS4. It's going to be coming sometime in 2014 to Xbox. So hopefully that one will be similar quality. But just the ability on day one to watch, I watched a guy play Knack for about an hour the day before the PS4 launched because he got his early because he won it off Taco Bell or something. I don't know. And it's just like, holy crap, that is amazing. It's built into the system. It just works. You hold down the share button. You say how you want to share it. You say Twitch, I have a camera, blah, 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 fill out all this stuff. And then boom, you're streaming your game live and people can interact with you. That is huge. That's kind of why I want a PS4 right now, because I'd love to do more of that. That would be amazing. But I'm going to wait as much as I want it. If I go to the store tomorrow and I see one, I'll buy it. But I'm planning to get one in like January, February, March, that time frame when they're a little bit more plentiful.
Yeah, the thing that it did do, and I kind of always feel like that when I watch a new Apple conference, right, it gives me like this new love for the products that I have right now. Mm-hmm. I came home last night and played some Xbox 360. I'm like, man, I really love this thing. You know, like it's fantastic. You know, as much as it got wrong and it got some stuff wrong, same with my PS3. I freaking love those consoles. You know, they've been such a big part of my life for the last 5 years. You know, mm-hmm. And you know, although the new one's out, like this is still there. There is no, if you wanted to buy an Xbox 360 or a PS3 or both right now, do it. Absolutely do it. They're cheap. They're great. Don't buy the Kinect one because you're getting a shitty console. But, you know, there's a monster catalog of amazing games that you can play right now. And it's totally worth the price. You don't have to buy into the new stuff right away just because it's new. Because they're really only playing 2 or 3 games. Yep. And that library is going to take a while to get big. Mm-hmm. So... console launches, man. Never thought I'd see the day.
Fun. All right, well, let's go quickly into some feedback that we got. Cool. And then maybe we'll take a small break, or we can go right into the review because we're running a little bit long already.
Well, yeah, I don't know if you saw what I wrote down there, but yep. I'll save the reviews for next week.
Oh, you're going to do both of them? Both of them next week?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do both of them next week because we are running quite a bit longer, and then we can go into the news after the break.
Yeah, there's really only a couple interesting ones. We can kind of skip most of them anyway. Okay, cool. So this is feedback. It's from Stephanie, and it goes, these are my questions for the Bonus Stage podcast. Hi, Jeff and Lloyd. I found your show on YouTube recently, and I've been watching a few episodes on there. The shows are great. I love the extended version with lots of news and back and forth discussions, which really go amazingly in depth. Well, thanks, Stephanie. My favorite sections are the reviews. Well, you won't like this episode then.
You know, because there's not much in the actual news. I'll do NBA 2K14 and save Battlefield 4 for next week.
Cool. I'm especially looking forward to Call of Duty review for the latest release. I haven't bought it yet myself since I got Grand Theft Auto not too long ago. I'm wondering if Ghosts should be a game that I should keep my eye out to buy for the holidays. I play Call of Duty on occasion, but I haven't bought every release. Is this game a must buy or a must wait? We'll go on to the next one. Second question is for Jeff. In one of the episodes I saw, you mentioned you played a game called Campus Crush. Oddly enough, I have it sitting on my iPhone now because I was so intrigued by the whole concept and reaction on the show. Nice. What is your current status on the game? You said it kept going on with the story endlessly. Have you actually finished it yet, or is it a game that will go on forever? So how about you answer the second question first, Jeff? Yeah. Campus Crush, are you still playing it?
I'm still playing it, still on my phone, but they took a while to write some episodes. But it's still going, and I really don't see it ever stopping. I don't even know what chapter I'm on because it doesn't say that anymore. But yeah, I'm still playing it every 4 hours. After
it's chapter. Oh, you're still playing this? That's the chapter.
Exactly, right? Like, you're still here?
You're the one person. I guess we have to keep putting content out because we said we would.
Well, 2 people, because now Stephanie is playing it.
There you go.
It's such a silly friggin' game, but I have not finished it. I really don't think it'll ever end. And if it does, it'll be like episode 397, you know, when they just say, oh, we're going to make something else. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I am far deeper than I care to admit in that game. You know, like I play it before I go to bed because it's only like, you know, 2 or 3 minutes of just reading and tapping a button. Every once in a while they throw in a choice. And it's so poorly written. I mean, it's like a really, 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 really bad, you know, soap opera for teens, you know, and it's awful. But nice. There's something compelling about I just want to see what happens. What kind of craziness does she get into? And it's just stupid, you know. I wish that there was like some kind of foreseeable, here's where the story is advancing but there is none of that. It's just always stupid. So yeah, Campus Crush, Game of the Year 2013. No question about it. Absolutely eclipses Last of Us in every way, shape, or form.
Nice. Does it have like fungal things in it as well?
Not yet, but you know what? It really could go anywhere.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Well, that's it. As for Call of Duty Ghosts, I haven't played it, and I know Jeff, you haven't played it yet either.
No, I have not. This is the first Call of Duty I haven't bought at launch in quite a while. I'm hoping to get it next week and try it out for a bit. In terms of must buy, I think that Call of Duty is one of those games that like you can't even really wait for like a holiday deal because Activision will just say like we're gonna keep it at $60, no problem. And when you find them used, instead of $59, they'll be like $54. So you're not really saving a lot of money.
And then you're buying the $10 pack to get all the content that the person unlocked with a code anyway.
Yeah, well, those aren't in a Call of Duty game, so you don't have to worry about that.
Oh, really? They don't have the day one like map pack thing that you have to put a code in?
They have a map that you get, but they put those on a separate playlist. Okay. So it's not mixed in with the normal, people. Okay. You have to go to a separate playlist to play that map specifically. But it's only one. It was free fall for this one.
Well, that's good. Well, because I was thinking, because Assassin's Creed, there's 3 codes in the box that I had to type in, and they all cost money. And it's like, really? This is ridiculous. Why do I have to type codes in anymore? Like, this is the future.
Yeah, well, actually, one of the cool things about the Xbox One, because they have that Connect, is you can show a QR code and it reads that. That's actually pretty freaking cool.
That is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
They could do that with PlayStation 4 as well, because they have the companion app that runs on your phone. So they could just have the QR codes there and you scan it with your phone and it gets added to your account. I hope they do that soon.
The guy said you could also do it with Smart Glass, so you don't even need to do it with the Connect. You just use your smartphone and do it with Smart Glass, which is cool.
And the Xbox One comes with a bunch of game code cards that don't have a QR code. So I was reading online on Twitter, a guy just plugged those codes into an online QR code reader and just like basically held his laptop up to his Xbox and it was reading the QR codes. So you didn't have to type in the 20,000 digit code. Which is kind of funny.
15, so they're far too long.
Yeah, they're nuts.
In terms of, is it going to be a good game? It's based on a modified engine. So far, the reviews are actually quite favorable for it. Even the community has received it quite well. They say it's a little bit slower paced. It feels a lot like COD 4, but it's not like one of those, I need to play it now, because like every Call of Duty, you go back to COD 4, which came out in 2006, and there's still 10 or 15,000 people playing online. Yeah. So, it's a game the community is so big that really any of those iterations of the game from then forward, save for World at War, which is very, very hacked, is still got a pretty big community of people playing it. So, it's not like, if I don't buy it by March, nobody's going to be playing it. It's Call of Duty. It's still going to be very, very popular. For my money, though, and I'll review it next week, Battlefield 4 is shooter of the year. It's unbelievable and eclipses Call of Duty in pretty much every conceivable way. Now, again, I don't have a base for Ghosts, but I can't imagine that Ghosts is going to be better than Battlefield 4.
Sure. And if you believe in like the Metacritic thing, Call of Duty Ghosts is the lowest rated Call of Duty game. It's sitting at a 74, and you have Modern Warfare 3 was 88, Black Ops 2 was 83, Modern Warfare 2 was 94. So they're all higher scores, but this is Metacritic, so really who cares at the end of the day? A lot of people don't believe what they have to say, but it's the lowest scored in all of the Call of Duties that have been tracked on Metacritic.
Yeah.
I want to play it. I want to play the space stuff. That looks really cool. The alien.
It's only 2 missions, eh? It's like it boils down to be like 27 minutes of gameplay.
Exactly. That's the part of the game that I'm really interested in playing. Even though firing guns in space, I don't know how that would actually work because you don't have air to ignite. But whatever. I'll suspend disbelief in this. The thing that really confuses me is the alien hunt.
Yeah, they have it's their new Horde mode. They got rid of the hell was it called in Spec Ops in no, it's not still not Spec Ops. Whatever. They got rid of Horde mode and they turned basically zombies into an alien shooting game. But it's not an endless one. There's an objective and you can beat it.
Yeah.
But it sounds okay. I've seen some video of it. It looks interesting, but it's kind of one of those things like because you can beat it, you'll play it once or twice and then you won't play it for a very long time. It's not a Call of Duty Nazi zombies kind of thing where it's like this is an increasingly difficult challenge every time, and it's just how long can we hold out. Oh, but it's Call of Duty. It doesn't change very often, and when it does, it doesn't change that much. So it's Black Ops 2, you're still good to play that. That's got around 70 or 80,000 people usually playing on it at any given time. That's a huge community of people.
Sure. Cool.
Yeah. All right. So we should take a break.
Well, if we're just gonna do a couple news items, we could jump right into it.
Yeah, well, I was going to do NBA 2K14.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're going to do that. Okay, we'll take a small break.
I reneged and went back on because Tiffany likes reviews. Steph, sorry, I'm sorry. Now she doesn't listen to the show anymore.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for that. All right, here we go. We'll take a small break. We'll be back in a couple minutes. So that was
a little bit of old Mode 7, right?
Super Effects.
Oh, yeah. Okay. They used to be called Mode 7. Yeah.
Big Blue from their album, Press Start, their latest album.
Very
Newest
cool.
album. Only album.
Good stuff. I wish they didn't do friggin' concerts on a Friday night.
That's what I was talking to Dario the other day, and I'm like, he's like, yeah, we got another concert. I'm like, yep, it's on a Friday. I can't come. He's like,
yeah.
We'll have to do it on a Saturday one day. I'm like, yes, please.
Yeah,
I'll have to come out and see.
Christ, do it on a Saturday.
Yep. All right,
But,
so you have a small review?
Good group of guys. Yeah,
wait, before you go on, before we get hate mail about the whole shooting guns in space, I understand that modern bullets will oxidize themselves, so you don't need oxygen. But you need some sort of atmosphere, otherwise you're going to be flying away as your bullets go forward, and they're going to have different velocity. Plus, if the sun shines on the side of the gun, all of your shells are going to go off because there's no atmosphere to stabilize the temperature. It's just the whole, like, people in space shooting guns at each other. I'm just like, really? There's so many things that would not make sense with that. But it's a video game, right? It's not real life.
shit. If anyone was actually going to write hate mail and then we're like, oh, okay, well, he saved himself.
You know, because people
Take
will.
a hard look at yourself in the mirror, first of all.
People will bitch and moan about stuff on the internets. You know how it is.
That was impassioned by you.
No, it wasn't. I'm just saying, don't bother sending it in. I understand the science. I just don't think it would be. I don't think you'd have astronauts in a space shuttle that would have guns.
I don't think you'd be able to pull the trigger of a gun in a spacesuit.
Yeah,
those things are huge.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I mean, it would have to be specially engineered guns for sure. But yeah. I mean, you'd be just as effective throwing something at someone's like face shield and breaking it open. Like, that would kill them faster than a bullet that would just basically go off in weird areas just because of, well, you're weightless. So when you shoot, you're going to start flying backwards. Have
you seen Gravity?
Oh, it was so good, man.
So good.
In IMAX, it was probably the best movie I've seen in theaters in, I can't remember how long. The whole experience from start to finish was just amazing.
Yeah, fantastic. Go see that movie. Bonus stage official review. It's rad.
It is great.
NBA 2K14. Played this about 3 weeks ago or so. It launched this year. 2K14, really? It came out the same day or a week before Battlefield 4 and Assassin's Creed did. And I was pretty excited to play this. I hadn't played a basketball game in a while, and I know that the 2K series is basically the pinnacle of basketball achievement. Last year's 2K13 was pretty much sports game of the year across the board. It was very, very, very well received. And the 2K series has always been pretty much the pinnacle, and certainly when it comes to basketball, you know, if you're NBA 2014 from EA Sports, you might as well go home now. First of all, this game is kind of weird. I haven't played a basketball game in quite some time, so I'm coming into it fairly fresh. And this game is pretty much about LeBron James. He's on the cover. There's a LeBron James mode in the game where you basically are LeBron James at his. It is this year in Miami. He is up for free agency at the end of this year, and it's about how well he does this year and what he makes as a decision going forward. Does he stay with Miami and he makes a dynasty with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and the rest of them, or does he go somewhere else and starts fresh again and decides, like, I'm going to win here now? Pretty interesting, but very weird. There's all these like weird LeBron James like voiceovers that come into your headset, and he's talking about like almost like how Michael Jordan talked 20 years after he was finished playing basketball, like longingly looking back at his career and going, yeah, it was a great time, and when I was here I thought about doing this. But like LeBron James is like doing it right now, and it's like you're talking present day about it, and it feels like it's 20 years ago. It was really strange. That said, the mode, pretty fun. You get to play as LeBron James, best basketball player in the world, and he controls as such. He's throwing down threes, slam dunk all over the place. He pick and roll, all that kind of stuff. He's really good at it. He's the 99 of 100, when it comes to, his skill level. So it's cool to play as, the guy that everybody, kind of aspires to be if you're like wanting to be good at basketball, right? The controls, gameplay, really cool. It doesn't look great on the Xbox 360, but hardware's aging, and that's kind of to be expected. Still looks really good. The sound effects are fantastic. The commentary is the best I've ever heard, ever. And that's not just like me generalizing. It's literally the best video game commentary you'll ever hear. I shouldn't say you'll ever hear, but that I've heard so far. These guys who are talking, I don't know their names because I don't really follow basketball that much, but they're literally talking the entire time, the entire game. It's wall-to-wall conversation about the game, what's happening, but then they're also talking about previous games that have been played and how players did then, and previous years, and stats from other years, and how they relate to the stats of this year, which are currently evolving. And even more so, when something happens, they're on it immediately. In MLB The Show, the commentary is always about 2 seconds behind the action, right? If a pitch is a strike, the pitch will come through, the catcher will catch it, and when the catcher's throwing the pitch back, that's when someone will say, and that's a strike. And they don't tell you really anything about the strike. They just say, that's a strike, not outside corner or fastball up in the zone, strike, swinging strike, or anything like that. But when they talk about a basket that was just scored, they're like, fade away, from beyond the arc, 3-pointer, LeBron James, or baseline jam or something like that as it's happening. And it's incredible. Like the predictive commentary is unbelievable. It's so fast and so responsive. That was like one of the things that really stuck out to me. Then what I did was, after I played the LeBron James mode for a little bit, which I can't remember what it's called, but it's something like, Dynasty King, or like Be a King, or LeBron James is the best in the world and the best ever will be, game mode or some shit like that. I went and played Create a Character. The My Player mode is one of the, I think, highly touted features in the 2K series, and one that people play a lot, and I can see why. First of all, you get to create your character, right? So you get to make him look however you want. Choose your number, and if you want to be drafted by a certain team, you can pick that, or you can just go into the draft. But what happens before is you play a competitive game with a bunch of the other draft selections to kind of get your skill level, and based on that, that will determine where in the draft that you get picked. So I got drafted like 18th or 19th out of 30. And the unfortunate part is you can't skip it. So the commissioner's up there, and he's like, and drafted first in the 2014 NBA draft for this team, this guy. And then everybody claps, and he comes up, and he gets his jersey, and he walks off. And then it's number 2. And you have to sit there and wait until you're drafted. And it's like, Jesus Christ, it was like 20 minutes I'm waiting just to be drafted. And it's unskippable. It's completely unskippable. And that I didn't like that at all. It was pretty bad. So it's like, play good in that first game, or you're going to be sitting there for a while waiting to be drafted. Thank God I wasn't in the high 20s or something. So I got drafted, and then what happens is you do a press conference, and your character has a generic voice that's voiced by one voice actor. And the voice actor, I believe, is African American, and because I'm white, the voice doesn't match up to me at all. So it's actually quite comical. But they get a guy who's a very good voice actor to voice your character, and you get to choose. Like the press reporters are sitting there and they're asking you questions, and you get to choose from a list of responses. And based on those responses, you will get more fans, right? People will be like, "Oh, I kind of respect this guy for telling it like it is," or I don't like this guy because he kind of bullshitted this answer. And it'll also like improve your team chemistry, right? As well too. So that was cool. And then what happens is you start playing. And because you're fourth string, or at least I was, I'm not started in games. I was drafted 19th. You'll come in for roughly 10 minutes a game, and it kind of evolves that way. And the gameplay is the same as it is across the board. I was a point guard, so a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is setting up picks. I'm doing a lot of passing, trying to get in as many assists as possible. But I'm also driving the lane. I'm also scoring baskets as well too. And one of the cool things about it is that everything you do has this impact on a rating that's up in the top right-hand corner, and that rating is affected by literally everything you do in the game. You make a good pass, cool. Team pass, your rating goes up to, it starts to think of like a C, and it can go to C plus, and then to B minus, and so on and so forth. Try to climb it as high as you can. But it can also go down. So if you make a bad pass that gets picked, your score will go down. And if that pick turns into a basket, then, it's a turnover that turns into a basket, then it'll go down even farther. You go to D and D minus, and then all the way to F. I got a lot of Fs in some games because I just wasn't good enough yet. After the game, you do another press conference, a post-game press conference, where people will ask you, like, how do you think you did? What was going on? And then you pick from I think it's like 3 responses that you can choose, like how I kind of felt. I think it's actually more than 3. But there's like a dialogue tree, and you get to pick. And after that, your team respect will go up, your kind of your following will go up, and I believe your fans will go up or down, depending on how you answer the question. After that, you go into the menu system, and in the menu system, there's a score thing called VC, and VC is used to purchase skill points, or not, there are skill points used to purchase upgrades for your character, like different moves, specialty moves, stuff like that. Or if you just want to make one skill be better, you increase that by using VC. It's hard to come by if you suck, so you have to do a lot of grinding. But if you're good at the game, it's something you constantly improving your character all the time. So it's certainly a reward system that's based on skill, which I like. It's not an easy game unless you put it on easy. And but even then, like you could still suck and you're not going to get any VC, and which is integral to creating your character to be the best it can be. The other really interesting thing is social media plays a big aspect. So you get to choose your social media handle, and then all these people, like sports reporters in the basketball, world, and journalists from that area, will tweet at you and say like, "Oh man, you really suck tonight." Like you gave away three passes that turned into baskets. Like you couldn't score any points. Other characters, other players in the NBA will challenge you. They're like, "I bet you can't score 5 points off of me tonight." So if you do, you get more VC because it was an open challenge. And you made it. So that's really cool that you get to like interact with people. You don't get to write tweets, but people like talk to you. And I think that's a big part of being an athlete now, is just being like open on Twitter, right? So it's a pretty cool thing. And I was really enjoying like kind of the having something to do post game that was actually interesting. That wasn't just navigating through a menu and upgrading your character and then hitting play. There's like these cool little things that people are saying to you. It's a really fantastic game. One of the best sports games I've ever played. If I wasn't such a big baseball fan, this would be my sports game of the year. But I love baseball so much that, MLB 13, the show, is I think still better. But in terms of accessibility, I think that NBA 2K14 has it hands down. I think that the barrier to entry for the MLB is a bit higher because baseball, for a lot of people, is a little bit of a weird game to try and figure out how to play it. Whereas basketball is, put that ball in the hoop. That's what you need to do, right? It's a really, really awesome game, and I'm actually going to be buying it later on this year, probably around Christmas or so, because it's really fantastic and it's something I want to play. My biggest gripe is that if you go offline at any point, VC turns into effectively coins, right? They turn into something that's different, and if you then turn your console back online, you can't ever go back to VC. And that kind of sucks. VC is something that you can actually buy with real money from the Xbox Live Store or the marketplace. And if your console's offline and you just wanted to play, let's say your internet goes out and you want to play some NBA 2K14, you can't connect to the cloud server, right? And it says, well, okay, so we got to convert your VC into basically a more meaningless monetary system so you can still upgrade your character, but you can't ever go back. And I'm not quite sure why that is, but it's pretty disappointing. I wish I had a solid reason for why that is, but it's some kind of like we need to communicate with our servers to make sure everything is legit. So a little unfortunate there, but NBA 2K14 is a really fantastic game, and it's actually going to be in my top 10 games of the year. That's how good it is. So if you're interested in basketball and you haven't picked this up, absolutely do so. Because it is a phenomenal game, and I really enjoyed it.
Cool. Well, thanks for that. Mm-hmm. It sounds fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't play a lot of sports games, though. So.
Yeah. Are you a basketball fan at all?
Yeah, I like basketball.
Yeah, more than baseball?
Yeah.
Yeah. You might like this game.
Yeah.
I would say give it a shot, but again, because it's $60, right? You're like taking a big gamble on a game you might not like.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Cool. All right, let's get into a couple news items before we call it a close. We've been going on for over 2 hours now, so we'll make it quick. I had a whole series of PS4 and Xbox news. We covered some of it, so we'll just do some of the quick ones. GameStop says over a third of all their PlayStation Plus subs came on the PS4 release day. So as long as PlayStation Plus has ever been around, GameStop, a huge game retailer, sold 1/3 of the total that they've ever sold on the PlayStation 4 release day. So
wow.
A lot of people are getting PlayStation Plus, which is good for Sony, and it's good for us because the more people that are there, the more great games are going to be coming out, and the more they're going to flesh out the service, which is going to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Also in PlayStation Land, going on right now, if you boot up your PS3 and you go into PlayStation Home, there's a new place called the PlayStation 4 Experience, which basically tells you all about PS4, and you actually go into a Vita, and it's kind of Vita styled as you're in it. But the cool thing about this is there's a series of quests that you can go on, or it's a quest with a bunch of different scavenger hunts. You're looking for 13 cards, and if you successfully get everything, you actually get 3 PlayStation 1 games for nothing. You get Twisted Metal, Warhawk, and Destruction Derby for free. So these are really great PlayStation 1 games. I've had a lot of fun playing all of them, actually.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
And they're free, so what does it matter, right?
Yeah, so boot up PlayStation Home for the one and only time you ever will.
Yeah.
Jump into it and explore PlayStation 4 land.
I wonder if the PlayStation Home has improved.
It's gotten a lot different from when I first played it. It's way different, but I don't think that makes it much better.
Yeah.
But I'm going to boot it up just to get my 3 free games because I'm stupid like that. I'll play.
I played it once when it came out, like in 2010. I haven't touched it since.
Yeah, I booted it a couple times when I had a core subscription. I would go into there whenever there was like free stuff, just to activate it, and then I'd exit right out and never go back. Right. But yeah, right now you can go in, you can get Twisted Metal, you can get Warhawk, you can get Destruction Derby. And which is pretty cool because while you can't play them on your PlayStation 4 right now, eventually the online streaming of your old titles will come, and you'll be able to play all these games on your PlayStation 4 at some point in the future, which will be pretty cool.
Very cool.
All right, what else? If you did not get a day one Xbox One console and you're really, really PO'd about that and you really want your day one PlayStation 1 or sorry Xbox One achievement, there's people on eBay that are selling them right now, and you could buy it now for $90. So if you are one of the crazy people that must have that Xbox One achievement and didn't pre-order for whatever crazy reason, there's a bunch of them right now that are on for like $50, $20, $30. Buy it nows. They're there. People will sell anything on eBay.
Yeah.
So
and for like achievement heads are pretty big, right? Like I mean, it's a driving factor in a lot of video games for some, myself included. I always look at the tier. What can I get? What am I not interested in getting? What do I think might be fun?
If you're the type of person that really cares about that, you would have pre-ordered your console on day one.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like for like achievements aren't interesting enough for me to have like a day one console. How many points is it worth?
I think it's like 10. Like, I don't think it's that much.
If it was like 100, I might consider it. Like,
wow.
Okay, so it's $90. That's like what, 93 cents or 91 cents per achievement. But even then, it's still $100. That's completely useless. Yeah, I could friggin' buy a game and probably get 350 achievements from it just for beating the campaign.
Or you can go buy like those old Burger King games and get your 250 achievements just by playing those old.
Yeah, they got those at PNP. Have you
played them?
I have played Big Bumpin'.
They're ridiculously fun. They're more fun than they actually should be for what they were.
I have not played Sneak King, but
Sneak King was great. That was my favorite one.
Sneak King is just so ridiculous.
Creepy King. That guy is just super creepy. Oh, all right, moving on. News broke today. I guess
exclusive today.
I guess he really wanted to play his Xbox on day one, so much so that he quit his company, and that is John Carmack has announced that he's left id Software for good. He's full time at Oculus Rift now. So he had said that he was working at Oculus Rift, but he was still going to stay on as a director of sorts there. But he said that the time commitment was just too much. He couldn't split his time.
We talked about this a couple months ago, right? When he was like, he's going to Oculus Rift, and he was like, "Oh, I'm just going to be there." We were pretty interested then.
Yeah, he was going to be a technical advisor for id, but now he's basically said that nope, he's out. So this is the second big high up id person to leave in the last little while. So I guess now that they're not their own company, that they're owned by another company, that things just aren't going so well for them. So
id's not really id anymore. You know, unfortunately, Rage failed pretty hard, which is I thought it was an okay game actually. It was still just shooting guys.
Yep.
But I think it had some interesting ideas that I really enjoyed, and I just loved the art style.
Yeah.
But yeah, John Carmack leaving id is a big wow. You know,
the thing about id,
it's like Miyamoto leaving Nintendo.
Kind of, yeah, exactly. The thing about id that I guess most people don't realize is that all the games that they come out with are basically there to sell their engine. But I guess Rage didn't do a good enough job because I don't know too many games that are actually using the Rage engine that are coming out. So I guess they didn't do too good of a job. So
which is unfortunate because that mega texture technology was pretty groundbreaking.
And the fact that they could get it running on the iPad was just amazing. I really like that.
I was surprised that nobody thought about, let's just have our polygon shapes set, and then we'll just put a blanket texture over everything, and it'll just. And I was like, that's a great idea.
Yeah, multiple layers and all that, and it was pretty cool. But so John Carmack is now full time at Oculus Rift, which can only mean good things to Oculus Rift.
Exactly right. I was just going to say that. And if Oculus becomes a publicly traded company, that's a buy-in.
Yeah, I'm ridiculously excited about Oculus Rift. So this is a good thing in that regards.
Yeah, I really want to try it, but I'm like, because I've seen a bunch of videos of people just like freaking out. Like I'm kind of nervous that like if I do that roller coaster thing, I'm gonna freak out and like shit my pants or something. Like it's like a legitimate fear of mine that I'm gonna be so freaked out that it's so different that I'm just gonna lose control and start crying or something.
Nice. I'll
it
film
will
that
not
and
be
put it
live
on
on the bonus stage when I first try the Oculus Rift.
I will film it and put it on YouTube and win the internet.
Kid shits his pants from the Oculus Rift and then cries.
Yeah, that would be great.
2 million views.
Yeah, awesome. Let's get it started. I'll talk to my developer friends that have dev kits. We'll get it working.
Cool.
All right. And last but not least, we've talked about gaming violence and how it's making kids more violent. And we've said that there's never been a good study done because there's only studies that are done by people that are on either side of the argument. So the pro kids are led to violence by video games crew will get someone to do this study, which finds their findings. And then on the other side, you have people that do the other way. This is a huge study. In the UK, they did something called the millennial study. And basically what they did is they started tracking a large number of children that were basically born or not that old in the year 2000, and they were going to track them and kind of check up with them as far as they could in their lives. So they've been tracking about 13,000 children that were born sometime between year 2000 and 2002. And what they found is that exposure to video games had no effect on behavior, attention, or emotional issues. Watching 3 or more hours of television at age 5 did lead to a small increase in behavioral problems in youngsters between 5 and 7. Neither television nor video games led to attentional or emotional problems. And there was no difference between boys and girls in the survey results. So they have scientific proof in a large sample size, not like 3 people sample size.
We interviewed one guy who killed a man after playing Call of Duty. He said that's why he did it.
Exactly. So this is 13,000 families that have kids that were basically into video games as young as 5, and their kids have had absolutely no behavioral issues by playing video games. So maybe this whole Call of Duty causes people to go to the mall and start shooting it up. News stories can finally go away. We do have some scientific proof. Obviously, this isn't all of the proof, and this isn't all of the news that we need or all of the study. But this is a huge plus for the people that said that doesn't make sense. I used to watch Bugs Bunny. I used to watch cartoons where people would get shot in the face. I didn't go grab a gun and shoot someone in the face thinking, oh, they're just going to come back. They're going to put their beak back on their face and they'll be fine. Kids aren't that stupid. There are some people that have behavioral issues or they have developmental issues, sure. But the vast majority of people, they can separate reality from fiction. And that's all video games are. They're just another form of fiction. They're just a different one than what people had access to 20 years ago.
Yeah, and the same argument we make when it comes to the anti-piracy thing. Don't punish the people who are trying to just enjoy the stuff legitimately, Yep. And it's unfortunate. And the thing is, this, as great as the study is, we'll have a study in a year or maybe even less that completely contradicts it, Yep. And that's just the way studies work.
But they won't have like 12, 11 years of data to go back on.
Yeah, I mean, like a decade is a ton of data, right? Yeah. Like they'd have to have started it at the same time or just shortly after, and we're going to try to prove the exact opposite.
Yep.
You know, that's very unlikely that was the case.
Yeah.
So.
And the best part about this study is they didn't seek out to prove that gaming affected or didn't affect children. This is just an anecdote from this thing that they did where they're studying the lives of all these people, which is probably the best news about this, because they can't be saying, like, the people that are against video gaming can't say, well, this was done just to prove that games were not, that they didn't make kids violent. It was skewed. Well, no, this had nothing to do with video gaming. It's just one data point from the study that they did, which is really good. All right, man. Well, let's get about do it for this episode, unless you have anything else to add.
I guess if you're listening to this live, GTA Online, although it's broken as hell, is having a social club weekend with a bunch of new, we're going to be playing some new races that came out with the Beach Bum thing. There's going to be some like really high value crate drops that happen, and I believe some of the developers from Rockstar are going to be playing around. So I'm going to play a little bit more this weekend and kind of get some of that cool loot. So if you are listening live, get in on that if you want to. And hopefully it's not broken for you. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's freaking cold down here, and we've been down here for like, 2.5 hours? I think it's time to end it.
You have frostbite on your toes right now.
My feet are freezing, man. I want to turn on the heat so bad.
That's hilarious. All right, well, let's end the show. All right, guys. Let us know what you think of the show. Head on over to vgpodcast.com. And let us know by clicking contact us. Email us directly at vgpodcast@gmail.com. Or you can call our voicemail line. And that is area code 505 VG Podcasts. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at DazMe. Jeff is at Jeff A. Ward. And until next week, go play those games. There's some really great games that came out today. There's Mario 3D World. There's Zelda. There's all these great games on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. It doesn't matter what console you have. You can find some fun stuff to do on it. So get out there and do it, and stop getting in these console wars. Like, who cares what other people are playing? It doesn't matter. Play what you want.
Have fun, guys.
Totally. All right, guys, take it easy.
Let's get started.